Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours and a lot to get into as we get you to the weekend. The NFL playoffs, they'll get kicked back up tomorrow afternoon. Some really intriguing games. We'll have to make our picks later in the show on these games, but we'll also get some picks from Alan Bell and Bruce Marshall on all of these games. The Grizzlies, they're in action tonight, a nationally televised game on ESPN 8:30 against the Spurs. But because it is a nationally televised game on ESPN, we will still get our local crew on FanDuel Sports Network, so that will be fun. But the big story last night, the Tigers lose on the road to Temple. We'll talk a lot about that as well. Jason Munz will join us in our third hour to talk about everything that took place in Philadelphia last night and preview Sunday's game, another road one against Charlotte. But before we do any of that, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Doing great, Brian, and I don't think last night came as a shocker to a lot of people. A little unexpected maybe to some, but that's life on the road. I would beg everybody. I'm going to go full Aaron Rodgers, RELAX.
Yeah,
and just remain calm. I don't know that it's a sign of anything. I will say this: if you are overreacting today, if you are freaking out, if you think it's a sign of something, then you didn't think the Tigers were very good 2 weeks ago, really.
Yeah. I think, we talked about it really all week leading up to this game of this is a tricky one. This is a scary one. I'll be honest, and it's very easy for someone to say it after the game. I had a bad feeling about this game since Saturday. Ever looking at on the road at Philly, a Thursday night, the way these last two games had gone, I did not have a good feeling about it. And
I had a bad feeling about FAU.
Yeah. And so, it was just...
Look what happened there.
Well, yes, and that's kind of the problem. And go back to yesterday in Tiger Bankroll, and, Greg and I were talking about this morning. Yesterday felt like a game going into it where if you came in and said, "Oh, this is the one, they're going to lose. Let me put all my money on Temple last night," and Memphis would have gone out and did what they did against FAU.
Sure could have.
And then you say, "Okay, no, they're going to cover this. Memphis is going to cover this spread and get there." And then they go out there and they do lose the game. But it was a tricky one, and the turnovers were down a little bit, but
only 10.
Only 10.
If you'd have told me only 10 turnovers, I would have thought about a 10-point win.
Yes. So the turnovers were down, but the rebounds were the biggest issue last night. But I think, what you were saying, I think maybe the biggest thing, and I was thinking about this last night once the game was over, it's almost a little bit of deja vu because last year it was basically the exact same time last year, the loss against USF that really kind of started that 4-game losing streak that really got everything off and running. I think very different. That was a loss at home. You were up by 20 points. It was a complete collapse in the second half, and you could see signs there. This was a tough road loss. There were certainly issues there, and we'll talk about it, but based on what I've seen from people, it's been more of that of, wow, this is it's about the same time last year that things came crumbling down and maybe almost a little bit of, I don't know, deja vu of what happened last year.
I'm sorry. I think if you have that sentiment, if there's a lot of that, then you didn't really believe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You didn't really believe after on the road at Clemson, on the road at UVA, and home against Ole Miss. Then I don't think you really believed if you're that kind of, fractious about last night.
Yeah.
The one thing that scares me about last night is in the net, and we talked about it well before last night's game, is the Tigers are stuck. They were stuck if they win. They're really stuck and going a little bit backwards, not that far backwards, just 4 spots backwards from losing last night. If they had won, that was only 1 or 2 spots that they were going to move up. And now 4 games down, 4 games. Yeah, they played 4 conference games, right?
Yep, that's right.
14 remaining. Here are the games. Sunday at Charlotte, 278 net. You win, you may go down.
That's right.
You will not move a spot or 2, maybe. Very well could go down in winning. Wichita State at home. Wichita State's 154. Home against UAB, 133. You win both of those, 2 or 3 spots, maybe you go up. At Tulane, always tough, Tulane, 162. At Rice, 182. Home against Tulsa. Tulsa's 301. That means there's only 63 teams behind Tulsa.
Yep.
Temple, 107, last night's opponent. At South Florida, 183. At Wichita State, again, 154. FAU, 116. Rice, 182. At UAB, 133. At UTSA, 229. 229. South Florida to close out the year at home, 183. I think right now the Tigers are legitimately a 5, probably a 6 seed. If they end up going 17-1, it might improve to a 4 or a 5 seed. If they lose 1 or 2 the rest of the way, it may drop to a 7 or 8 seed. You lose 3 or 4 more, 5 more, then you're on the bubble.
Oh, yeah, certainly. And, we talked about it yesterday, I know, and maybe even a couple days before. You look at the schedule now, maybe UAB continues to win some games and they get up in that mix. But last night's game against Temple was the last Quad 2 opponent you were going to face the rest of the year. And so, you talk about, you just went through all the nets and kind of those type of numbers and those type of teams. All the rest are going to be Quad 3, Quad 4 games. I do think UAB,
and they're all playing each other, so it can't improve.
Exactly. It's only going to stay about the same. And so, I almost chuckle when you start talking about seed lines, because Joe Lenardi did drop a bracketology today. And it's always, Brett, I've learned it's a lot more fun to talk about bracketology after a win than after a loss. Joe Lenardi dropped the Tigers down from a 5 to a 6 following the loss against Temple. And the first round matchup, I believe, was against the winner of Iowa, Texas. If they won that game, they would play Illinois.
None of that scares me. This is still a coach and a team that this year we know they have defeated the back-to-back national champions and Hurley. They've defeated Tom Izzo. They've won at Clemson. They've defeated Chris Beard. So still, sometimes I forget, not bad wins like UNLV and Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, and that UNLV team, went out and beat Utah State, a team that had been rolling a couple nights ago. So no, I mean that's been the thing is Penny Hardaway's teams have gotten up for the big games and have played extremely well, and I think that's what scares people. Is we saw it last year, we've seen it a couple other years. It's fine in the non-conference, it's fine against the big teams, and then you get to conference play, and you kind of fall off. And I'm not worried yet. I know Penny Hardaway after the game was asked about it directly. Are you worried about your team after this loss? And he said, no, I'm not worried yet. And I mean, I'm not worried. I'm not worried yet. I think is exactly where I'm at as well. Because like you said, you have built if you want to talk resume, you've built the resume in the non-conference slate that you're in a really good spot right now. Even if you want to just talk about team, I think this team is much better than last year's team was. So no, I am not worried yet by any means. 901-360-8255. Tell us at the Sissy's Log Cabin text line. Are you worried? Yes or no? Yeah.
Are you worried?
Yeah.
Brian and I aren't. Coach Hardaway's not.
No.
Coach Hardaway's not. I don't need me to get too worried about it.
That's right.
3 ranked teams played last night. All 3 lost,
How about that?
including Gonzaga. And we were talking yesterday with, or was it Wednesday?
It was Wednesday with Kevin Sweeney.
About net darlings. It was Wednesday with Kevin Sweeney. Thank you, Brian.
Sweeney, yep.
And I said mine was Gonzaga.
Yep.
So what do you think last night's loss did to Gonzaga? Gonzaga lost to Oregon State. The Big Timber.
Okay, well, hold on. Where were they before today? Give me that.
Gonzaga was 11 before the loss.
I'm going to say they dropped to 15. How about
Nope,
that?
stayed right in there at 11.
Wow, okay. Right at 11.
Net loves them some Gonzaga.
I like Gonzaga. I love some Gonzaga.
And I'm not accusing anyone of anything nefarious. I think it just numbers goes in, numbers go out. I really believe it's blank. I don't think the net knows we got to spit out a good rating for Kansas. I'm not there at all. Are you?
No, certainly not.
Not at all.
No.
Now the bracketologists are
It's
human
different.
beings.
Yes, those are.
Maybe a little bit more there, but the college basketball whiz kids.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot to respect and like about Mark Few and like what he's done.
Absolutely.
They love him some Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And it still hadn't had the one shining moment yet.
They
And
haven't gotten to the promised land yet, but you're right. They're always right there in the mix. We both said we're not worried. I'll tell you one thing I am worried about, and I've been worried about it. I've said it multiple times. This team can't rebound. They didn't do it last night. They're not boxing out. They're not crashing the boards. It's a problem. Even in that win that we were just talking about against FAU, 19 offensive rebounds they gave up to the Owls.
Is that the price you have to pay to be this guard oriented?
It might be. I mean, last night we saw Penny Hardaway throw out 4 guards, 1 big combinations. And
that's going to get out rebounded.
It's certainly going to get out rebounded. And there were times
size matters.
Yeah, and there were times where
10-foot goal, 94-foot court.
That's right.
Basketball, every inch counts.
There were, and I wanted to take screenshots of them. There was a couple times last night where they were running a zone, and they had, and this was obviously on the defensive end, and it led to offensive rebounds for Temple. They had Nicholas Jourdain at the top of the perimeter guarding at the top, and then they had P.J. Haggerty on the block down low. And I was like, of course they're going to get offensive rebounds. I mean, you've got your little guard down low. Nicholas Jourdain's all the way out on the perimeter. He can't crash the boards and get rebounds from out there.
Are there any of these analysis sites, metric sites, all the numbers crunchers that shows the percentage of man-to-man to zone defense you run?
I'm sure there is. I would have to go out and
I would love to
it.
know how many trips the Tigers have played zone this year. I bet not many.
Not many. They threw it out more than usual last night against Temple, I felt. You kind of look up and go, ooh, they're in a zone here. And I think even maybe second or third possession threw a zone out there. And I was going, whoa. But no, Penny Hardaway is not usually a zone coach by any means.
How about the old coach, St. Joe coach, Phil Martelli, as analyst last night? He was having none of the play-by-play guy having to do the reads promoting the national championship football game, was he? He was having none of it. I mean, he basically said college football can click their heels together and disappear for all I care.
Good. I mean, he's doing a basketball game. I mean, that's his life.
He was having none of it.
Let's keep it with this game. I love it. It was, that was
even
funny.
asked, I think, joking, who's playing? And said, you couldn't care less.
That's good. That's really good. No, but it was a weird game last night. It was a game where the Tigers really struggled, and the biggest things were second chance points, rebounds.
Who breaks the news to Phil that his sport's one of the nichiest sports out there?
Well, he's got to know, right? I mean, coaching up in that area.
I started laughing when, after one of the college football reads for Monday night, he did a read on the Australian Open, and I thought, Phil, your sport is as niche as the Australian Open sport is.
Yeah, you don't like him. You don't like him plugging the national championship. Get ready for Aussie Open. I mean, here we go. And that was coming up next. We were delayed to the start of the Australian Open because of the Tigers.
Did you watch any?
I did not watch any last night. No.
And watch the shot. Won't. I'm gonna make a point not to.
Watched a little bit earlier because it was on, but no, I didn't watch any last night. It was college basketball last night, I'll be honest. And then tonight will be Grizzlies. So you were talking about it yesterday, this little stretch we've got coming up. A lot of Grizzlies, a lot of Tigers. It's going to be a lot of fun. So and tonight, nationally televised. So I ask you, Brett, before we get to top and knot, will Ja Morant play?
Yes.
Okay. I completely agree.
I ask you, with your Cowboys hat on, is that like the smoke coming from the Vatican? You think we're getting close to a coach being hired?
Yes. I wore it as an omen today.
By the end of the weekend?
I think so. I think by Monday when we're here, I think we have an answer.
News breaks and they can all kind of discuss it on the Sunday morning shows?
I was thinking more get up First Take Monday morning. Just,
good call.
Bomb the what happened over the weekend in the actual games, and we're just straight Cowboy news.
If it's Dion by the end of next week, number 1 jersey sale in the league will be number 21.
Oh, for sure.
And he hadn't played it down in 20 years.
For sure. Easily. One might be in my cart. I don't know. It might be. But it's going to be a busy weekend, and we've got to talk a whole lot about it with everything the NFL, college basketball, the NBA, the build-up to the national championship game that will take place Monday night. We're going to get into all of it over the next 3 hours. So let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He'll join us to talk some wagering. We'll get picks from every game this weekend in the NFL. We'll also get his thoughts on the national championship game Monday night. 3:45, we'll talk more about the Tigers and their loss last night against Temple, an 88-81 game where the Tigers only led for about 4.5 minutes total game time. Temple, they had a game plan. They stuck to it and executed it really well. We'll talk about that to end the hour. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net will join us. We'll talk all the NFL games, the college football national championship game, might even get some NBA and college basketball bets from him as well. 4:30, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas and Fort Smith. He'll join us. Got to talk about his Razorbacks that are 0 for right now in SEC play. We'll ask him, what's the temperature right now on that team and on Coach Cal in his neck of the woods? What does he expect that team to do moving forward in SEC play? Then we'll also get to just SEC in general. We'll do that at 4:30 with Ty Richardson. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Jason Munns, the Tiger basketball beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He'll join us. We'll talk a lot about what happened last night. We'll preview Sunday's game against Charlotte. How do the Tigers bounce back? As always, Jason Munns presented each and every week by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. Every week we get skinnier and skinnier on the games, and this week it's real thin. With
4 lonely games.
Yeah, 4 lonely games. Well, next week will only be 2 lonely games.
We'll pick the national championship on Monday at 5:30.
That's right. So we'll have to make our picks this weekend for the NFL and the divisional round. Then at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the floor model sale. All 2024 inventory has to go. Help them make room for 2025. All floor models up to 50% off. Cold plunge tubs starting at $49.99. Hot tubs up to $3,000 off with free steps and chemicals. Pool tables, arcades, ping pong, air hockey tables, foosball tables, all 20 to 60% off. And don't forget about theater seating, now up to 75% off. It's not too early to start thinking about pool season. Buy now and get on the schedule for install before the rush hits. Only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Landon Schmidt. We are Sportstime. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. We're with you until 6 o'clock. Into the weekend we go, and we want you to be a part of it at 901-360-8255 at the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. I've already asked Tiger fans, how concerned are you? Worried? Panicked? Not panicked? What's your concern? We want your thoughts on any and all heading into the weekend. Bryant mentioned Family Leisure. We're always in our Family Leisure studios, and always this first hour brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. You can call them at 901-334-9673, but they want you to stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Great offers on all those 25s and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be the Tigers and their loss last night against Temple. 88-81 on the road in Philadelphia. It was a game very slow early on. It felt like it got to 4-4, and then it was 4-4 for a couple minutes there until both teams kind of started to get a little more comfortable. One thing that I noticed very early in that game last night is that when Memphis decided to throw their full court press at Temple did a really good job of staying calm and really breaking down that press. Memphis did not have a ton of success. I think I remember maybe 2 times that they were able to get a turnover out of that press. And if you remember, especially that North Texas game, that was really how they, before North Texas made it very close at the end, they kind of jumped out to a 10, 11-point lead because of that full court press, but that did not work against the Temple Owls. Mashburn Jr., he had a big game. We knew he would, but really didn't shoot the ball well. 4 for 16, but got to the free throw line a ton. He attempted 12 free throws, went 11 for 12. We've mentioned the rebounds. Temple 49 total rebounds, 22 offensive rebounds. That is just way too much. It turned into 19 second chance points. I mean, you eliminate half of those, a quarter of those, and Memphis wins this game, but way too many offensive rebounds, not enough guys crashing the glass, trying to get rebounds. There were a couple, just long rebounds that, just fell into their hands, but for the most part, it was a lack of effort on the glass, and we've seen that time and time again, really since the start of conference play. They got 32 points in the paint. We saw the kind of 4-guard, 1 big lineups thrown out there, and I really didn't think Memphis had a ton of success trying to match, kind of the smallness that Temple had, especially with their stars. I know they brought a 7-footer off the bench, but a lot of times, biggest guy Temple had out there, 6'9" maybe. So trying to match that maybe, but it just didn't work out. Offensively for the Tigers, PG Haggerty had 21 points, but very abnormal for him at the end of the game. Goes to the free throw line and I believe missed 3 of 4 towards the end of that game when the Tigers were trying to keep it close. So just some areas there. I know Penny Hardaway even said it after the game that was an effort game, and really in terms of toughness and effort that Temple beat Memphis, and that's exactly what they did.
My top story's right there. Please don't panic. Please don't freak out. If we were on a Delta flight bound for Los Angeles, this is not even turbulence we've hit. I mean, this is for sure not a thunderstorm, white knuckle thunderstorm flying through. This just hit a little spot, and maybe some of the stuff in the above you moved around a little bit. There's no need to ooh and ah. This is fine. Now, a loss Sunday or a loss at home, that's the time to maybe start re-examining it. It was a road conference loss to a decent team that played well. 1 or 2 more on the road, I think's okay. None to nobody in this league at home. None. Cannot lose at home. Any home loss, then I can't hold back the people running down the hall panicking. If 4 or 5 league games, there's a loss, then there's no preferred seed. Might even be debatable in or out if you have that, but I don't think that's going to occur. This team, I think, will be fine, but I'm still fine by just an NCAA tournament appearance, because that's what I've lowered my expectation to.
Yeah, I think the good news about the loss last night, if you want good news, they were going to lose eventually in conference play. I mean, the likelihood that they were going to go undefeated in conference, any team going undefeated in conference, is very low. And so they were going to lose eventually. They lost a road game. It was a tricky environment against a tricky team. Now, how do they respond? That's exactly what you said with this game Sunday, and even when they return home next week.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's got to be the Grizzlies tonight on national television, 8:30 on the road against the San Antonio Spurs team that they beat earlier this week on Wednesday. That game against the Spurs, well, the Spurs really did a good job in the first half controlling things. They led at the break, but then the second half, it was all Grizzlies, and it was all Ja Morant going viral for the dunk that never happened. It doesn't exist. It was after a foul. It should have never been. I mean, the reaction to people putting that on social media has been hilarious. That shouldn't even be posted. This shouldn't be going viral. It wasn't a real dunk. Give me a break. It was awesome. It was great. We all loved it. But tonight, what do we see? Ja Morant listed as questionable. I don't think there's no doubt in my mind that he does not play tonight. I mean, he's playing, 100% playing tonight. He can be listed as questionable. That's fine. But on national television, Grizzlies haven't been on national TV much this year. After that happened and everyone's saying it wasn't a real dunk, Ja Morant is going to play tonight, and I would not be surprised if he tries again on Victor Wembanyama and make one actually count. So it'll be fun. I'm curious to see how the Spurs respond. I loved after that game Wednesday night, I think it was the young point guard, Stephon Castle, after the game speaking to the media, and they asked him about the Grizzlies and playing them. He said, I love it. It was like, backyard pickup basketball growing up where they're trash talking us, we're trash talking them. You just go out there and it's just fun. And he was like, I'm excited to play them again on Friday. So this should be a fun game. It is kind of later, 8:30, not super late, but it will be fun to see them on ESPN. And, like Stephen A. said, the world needs to look out for the Grizzlies. He said that after Wednesday's win. And hopefully tonight on ESPN, the Grizzlies can put themselves on the map.
My not top story, 4 NFL games this weekend. 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then we will be down to the 4 teams for 2 spots in Super Bowl 59. Detroit Buffalo is what I'm hoping for. 2 teams they've never won it. Detroit's never gotten to a Super Bowl. We know the Buffalo Bills 4 straight losses, and they're close in proximity. I'm really for this game. I think that would be fun for the league to have this story, because both of those towns and both of those franchises, they've suffered enough.
They absolutely have. And all these games this weekend are going to be really fun, intriguing matchups.
In victory, they got to make it through 9 more months of winter.
That's true. Even if they win the whole thing, it's always winter up there. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. I'm super excited for Alan Bell to join us because I've been looking at these games. I've been looking at the lines for these NFL matchups all day. I think a lot of them are very tricky. So let's get to a break. And when we come back, Alan will break down all of these games and give us his picks. He joins us next on Sports Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
High-energy, full-body workout that utilizes the same equipment and technology employed by Floyd Mayweather to achieve his impressive 50-0 record. The workout features 4 types of heavy bags, treadmills, rollers, battle ropes, weights, and much more. Visit Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, located at 2257 North Germantown Parkway in Cordova. Train like a champ. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. 901-673-1267.
Consumer example, stock number RZ307440, MSRP 82085, dealer discount 7425, purchase allowance 2750, sale price 71910, expires 3325.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes, or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at NapaCafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Good afternoon. The police finishing up a couple of wrecks we had out here a little bit earlier. Still moving at the moment on I-40 as you come past Sycamore View Road, as you head on out towards Fayette County, as traffic starts to increase in and out of the Midtown area just in the last few minutes on 240 southbound over here at South Parkway. Don't forget, they're closing that 55 bridge tonight at 8 o'clock, and it'll be closed until Monday morning at 6 a.m., and that should, in theory, create a lot more traffic volume on the I-40 bridge over the weekend. Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. Go by and see them and shop local. You'll save a lot of money this Valentine's Day at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We're back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk these games this weekend from the AB3 and Driving the Line, Alan Bell joins us now. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. A fun weekend of NFL divisional round matchups. I was telling Brett right before we went to a break that I've been looking at these lines all day, most of this week, and I think a lot of these lines are very tricky. So I'm glad we have you on today. I'm glad we're getting your thoughts on them. So let's start tomorrow afternoon with the Texans and Chiefs game. Right now, Kansas City is an 8-point favorite. We know, we've talked about it all year, the Chiefs, at least in the regular season, things certainly could change in the playoffs, have not done a great job of covering spreads, especially when they're more than a touchdown. Going up against this Texans team that I think surprised a lot of people last week in the wild card. What do you see in this one? Kansas City 8-point favorite, total at 41.5.
Yeah, you're exactly right, man, and I appreciate you guys having me back on. And you know what? The best point you made right there, out of all great points, was that these lines are tricky, and you're exactly right, okay? Think how football games are scored, 3 points, 7 points, 10 points, right? You're seeing a lot of 8s and 6s. That means the books are saying there's going to be some wild stuff going on. Now, you take a look at the Chiefs here, okay? Their offense, starting offense, hasn't really played a real game in a month, right? But this is a team that really hasn't done it with offense, right? I think they've only scored 30 points once this year, maybe, something like it's very low. They're winning with defense. It's tough to go against the Chiefs here because I just don't know how long the Texans' kind of magic is going to go. They had a great game last week, don't get me wrong, all right? That was a great win. But it's a different animal, man, and this defense is rested and they're healthy. I'm going to roll with the Chiefs here with the points, but I'll also say, all right, winning, and I'm not saying 8 points is a blowout, but winning big usually leads to unders. It doesn't lead to over, so keep an eye on this total here.
Interesting. Alan, today I saw a great picture of you on social media. Your gear, the stuff, the logo stuff at Driving the Line, it's terrific. You can rock a flat bill. I can't work a flat bill, Alan.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was eating some deer jerky, some venison that one of our guys sent in, and he was like, give us a taste test. It was delicious. It was fantastic, man.
That's good stuff. Also, tell our listeners what all this weekend, going into these playoffs, college basketball, and I know one of your wheelhouse things, they were about to shut you down last year betting college baseball.
That's right.
Tell our listeners how they can get signed up at Driving the Line.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, on YouTube, man, just go at Driving the Line. You'll find us right there. We have, obviously, completely free content. We also have premium memberships. But just come in and hang out, man. Come see what we're about. I think you'll enjoy it. We have a ton of fun, and you're right. We've got the NFL, and these are my favorite 2 weekends. Don't be wrong, Super Bowl's great, but I love diving into the divisional round and the championship round, and we're going to be all over it, not only this weekend, but leading up to the games next round, too. Yeah, at Driving the Line on YouTube. Come check us out, man. I think
last weekend, C.J. Stroud was more like 2023 C.J. Stroud and less like 2024. Any props out there this weekend on him or Patrick Mahomes? And Patrick Mahomes' dad famously was a Major League Baseball pitcher. And I think this year Mahomes has won like that aging veteran pitcher that used to just blow it by everybody. He had to win with his stuff this year.
He absolutely did. Absolutely did. And you think about all the changes this team has had, right? Like, every year it seems like they've got different wide receivers. Then those wide receivers get hurt. I'll tell you 2 things that the Chiefs do in the playoffs. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes' rushing attempts, okay? He hasn't ran much all year long because you don't want to get the guy hurt, but he will use it in the playoffs. Number 2, the Chiefs did it last year, and they kind of done it this year. The regular season, not a ton of Travis Kelce, right? And you look at it like, oh, is he close to done? When the playoffs get here, and he did it last year, it is all about Travis Kelce. So take a look at his anytime touchdown, receptions, those types of things. And then number 3, the Chiefs can run the ball all right. But what they will do is they use DeAndre Hopkins, the wide receiver, as basically a de facto run game. And what I mean is that he runs 3 to 5 yard routes. And they will hit him. Think Tom Brady back in the day when he just throw those little hitches out to the left, to the right. That's what they use.
The Chiefs with Tyreek Hill, they would do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, right? And that's what they use to basically as an addition to the run game. And they'll say, all right, we can get 3 to 5 yards on second down, and we have a 3rd and 1, right? Like, I mean, they do that all day long. So if you're looking at props, look at those for sure.
What's the Mahomes rushing attempts number for tomorrow?
I believe it's 5.5. All right.
Oh,
now
that's high.
It's high, but remember this: kneel downs count as rushing attempts. So you get it not only a chance at the end of the first half. Say the Texans score, all right, 5 seconds left. You don't have enough time to really do anything, but they have to kick off. Mahomes runs out there, takes the knee. That's a rushing attempt. 3 kneel downs at the end of a game. That's a rush. Those are 3 rushing attempts, right? So that's the trick with that one, is that you get these little built-in pieces that are very nice to get you there.
And you loved that all of last year. You rode it in the playoffs. You rode it on Super Bowl Sunday. And I think the rushing attempt that got him to over, he was rushed in the pocket, and he got out in like a 1 or 2 yard run and then a hook slide, and that's when he declares, don't hit me, and that counted as that counts as a rush. If they're not sacked, if he gets 1 inch of a gain, that counts as a rush.
You're absolutely right. The frustrating part is when they get right back to the line of scrimmage and it does not count. You're like, oh, come on.
Give me something.
For it. Yeah. But it's a nice little bet, man, for sure.
Alan, I have to ask this has nothing to do with any of the games this week. I guess it does kind of, but I'm just curious. I went to my sports book to look at where Patrick Mahomes' rushing attempts were, and I got distracted because I always see it pop up, the tab that says hypothetical conference championship matchups. Do you know anybody that plays hypothetical anything matchups when those are posted or puts them out as plays? I mean, I always see these and I always go, who in the world is betting these? These games, the games before haven't even happened.
I know, right? Yeah, they do. And here's the nice part about it. Like, not a lot of people play it, right? But people who kind of have an idea of both teams, it's almost like an FCC or an NFL team. Like, you have a group of people that are scouting the week ahead, right? And they're looking at it saying, okay, because if you say you bet on, let's just use Chiefs-Bills, okay? So you just go ahead and jump up there, and I don't know what that line is in front of you. But if the Ravens win, you don't lose that bet. It just gets wiped off. So you have no risk in regards to that, right? You just find it if you like a number, on either side. Yeah. So it's a nice little play because the line's going to move one way or the other. And that's really where people who bet, just on value of a number, Yeah, that's where they get it for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that, of like if one of those teams doesn't make it through the round that's here, it would be voided. So that is, now that I think about it, when you put it like that, isn't that bad of an idea. All right, well, let's get to the Saturday night game. Another kind of weird line, Commanders and Lions, Detroit a 9.5-point favorite. This is a Lions team that it feels like against any team they can name the score. Their offense has been that good, but the Commanders have been playing well. They've been winning games, and it seems like every step along the way people have doubted them, and they just go out there and win in weird ways every week. They did it with a doink field goal last weekend. Right now, Detroit 9.5-point favorite, that total at 55.5. What do you like here?
Okay, so what we just talked about, right, where you have the Chiefs an 8-point favorite, and I think the total is, 41.5, something like that? Yeah. 55.5.
Yeah.
This is massive.
Mountain West
number.
Conference.
That's right.
Yeah, right? Like, this is a big number. Now, don't get me wrong. What you just said about the Lions is very true. They can score at will, and they play aggressive. That's how they go about it. And Washington scored, too. Jaden Daniels, he has not played like a rookie all year long. He's cool. He's calm. Looks like Joe Montana, right? Where he's just like, okay, I can do this. But here's the thing. Number one, look, I'm taking the under, and I'll tell you why. Number one, I think if you're Dan Quinn in Washington, your best defense against the Lions is your offense and keeping their offense off the field. So if you could have long, sustained drives that end in points, that's very good for you. You don't want to just let you don't want to get in a shootout because you can't win that game. Now, number two, for the Lions, they are aggressive, and that's how they roll, and we all love it. But they have had a ton of injuries. All right, Dan Campbell he's no dummy. He's aggressive, but he's not dumb. Now you're in the playoffs, and you don't have to always push it. So if the books are saying that they're winning by 10 throughout the game, let's get out there and run the football a little bit, right? Like, we don't have to get one of our wide receivers crushed. We don't have to get Jared Goff, turned around if we don't have to. Let's just run the football, easy, run some clock. And what Dan Campbell doesn't like to do, punt. We'll punt a couple times. So that's why I like the under, man. Like, I think both teams want to try to run the clock and shorten this thing up for different ways. So that's a big number. Give me the under 5.
Anything on the side, Detroit or Washington?
Detroit. I'd go Detroit. Like, it's hard to say no. And I love everything Washington's done, but Detroit is they're a different animal, man. And they know what time it is, and they're at home. That crowd is going to be loud.
And they were close last year. They know that. All right, 2 games Sunday, Rams at Eagles, Ravens at Bills, and then we want to get your Notre Dame, Ohio State pick.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go with the Eagles here. I love the Rams, but this is a different animal. Cold weather, out on the road. They've had a great year. They are not the Eagles. This is an excellent football team that can run, play defense, choke you out. I'm going to go with the Eagles with the spread. And then the final game, give me the Ravens. All right, They can run the football, and I don't care what weather it is. When you've got Lightning at quarterback, Derrick Henry at running back, and a 300-pound fullback blocking for you, it is tough to deal with that, and that usually doesn't lead to a lot of mistakes. I'm going to go with the Ravens -1.5, and then the national championship Monday. We've ridden Notre Dame all year long. Scored points, over. Ohio State's going to wear them. They're just so good. Like, I can't bet against Ohio State, man. Like, they're so good. And coming off that Texas game where it was a little different than Tennessee and Oregon, I think that was the best thing for them. Now they're saying, oh, okay, all right, we're tested now. All right, let's go. I love Notre Dame, but I don't think that they can hang in this game. I'll take Ohio State.
Ohio State, they haven't trailed in the college football playoffs.
That's crazy. And they played, I think that they had the toughest schedule. They played a road game. Like, that was a home game for Texas, man. Like, they're tested, dude. They are very, very good.
Vegas is screaming to us how much they love Baltimore, having them as a 1.5 favorite at Buffalo, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And, like, this is the first time the Bills have ever been a home underdog in the playoffs. They played a lot of home playoff games. They're telling you, like, yeah, Baltimore can do it. And rightfully so. I mean, not only on offense, they got the number 1 rushing defense as well. This team is very, very stout. They play physical.
Buffalo's 15-5 all time in that stadium, Old Rich Stadium, all time in the playoffs.
Wow, that's strong, man. That's strong. That is very strong.
Yeah.
It's going to be a game.
It's going to be a fun weekend. All the games with the NFL and then Monday night with the national championship game. Alan, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Friday.
I appreciate it, boys. Y'all have a great weekend, man. Take care.
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bell joining us to talk all things handicapping when it comes to the NFL and college football. A lot of great picks in there, and he likes the Ravens in that big one. It feels like a lot of people split on that game, but I don't know.
Can you work a flat bill? You like a little curve, don't you?
I like a little curve on mine. I'll rock like the super curved or this. I'm not a huge straight flat bill. I don't think it works on me. But a little curve, not too much. That's my sweet spot.
I think a flat bill is like a man that wears a bow tie. It takes a confident man.
Takes a very confident man. I have one of my buddies at church wears a bow tie every week. And
Yeah.
I go, looks good on you.
Yeah.
I don't know if
looks
I can
great
do
on
it.
you.
Yeah. I don't know if I can do
and
that.
kind of keep it over there.
Yeah. I don't think I have the confidence to rock a bow tie. But hey, good for the people that are able to, I guess. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the Tigers and their loss last night against Temple. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Business Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour from 3 to 6. $1 off all draft games, $5 off meal drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and mozzarella sticks, queso, $4 a day. Friday night lights from 7 to closing. Dine in and watch Will and Stay Fun. Free on watch college football and every pro game. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Highway 70. Fall is football.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Benswinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
New year, new savings during the Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat Start Something New sales event on the bike. We got it covered in 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L Series 3, $23,156 off MSRP and 0% for 36 or 3.9 for 72 months is available. 2023 Jeep Renegade Upland 4-wheel drive Sport, $309 a month. Buy it for $23,723. And power up in 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn, $13,758 off MSRP or $629 a month. Plus all 2023 models, you can save up to $16,906 off. So drive past the rest. Come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. Online, GossettMotorCars.net. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
145, 331, MSRP 123, 155. Renegade Triple P 57, 256, MSRP 31095. Ram SN 544, 525, MSRP 56, 825. Includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 This hour is brought to you by Lexus Cigars. Here are your hosts, Star Sports Movie and Brian Davis.
Well, last night was not fun watching the Tigers against Temple. 88-81, the final score in Philadelphia. A win for the Owls. It was their first ranked win since they beat number 1 Houston. They threw that up at the end of the game while the 50 students that were in attendance rushed the floor. Not a great court storming.
It
Brett.
felt like a very forced court storming.
It was.
Didn't it?
Well, because at first I'm watching.
Okay, now's when we all run out on the court. Let's go.
At first, because I was watching it, and at first it felt like they weren't going to rush the court, and I was like, good for them, good for Temple for not rushing the court. And then here they come very slowly and not
a little
together.
reluctantly.
I was like, okay, well we got
Should
to
we
figure
do
out
this?
if
Do
we're
we get
doing
kicked out of school?
Exactly. You got to figure out beforehand, are we doing this or not? You got to come together as a group. It's usually one of those you don't have to say anything, you just feel it. You feel the energy and you go for it. Last night they did not go for it. Shame on
High
them.
Hard, when you ready?
Okay, please.
Will Mississippi State rush the court tomorrow if they beat Ole Miss in Starkville?
Absolutely, and they should.
And they'll storm hard over
Yes.
the table.
Yes.
It won't be anything reluctant.
No. I mean, they're going to have to be holding them back until the clock strikes 0.
But in Egg Bowl world and in rivalry world, a lot of time it's no, don't do it. We don't want to. We don't want to make them think it means this much. And then it's to heck with it. We want to make them know that it means this much.
I feel like this year, with how good both those teams are, this is the year you storm if you win.
Yeah,
you go for it.
Maybe so. Tomorrow, have you seen the early over and under on the Kentucky-Alabama game?
Oh, jeez. I have not seen it, but I can only imagine.
Take a swing at what you think it is.
176.
Great. Brian, really, 180. Very good.
Wow,
very good.
okay.
180.
All right. I felt like it was going to be somewhere in that area.
Brian, I've seen a lot of
insane.
NBA over and unders through the years.
That's
Not as
insane.
many since we've gone more open spacing, but I've seen NBA over and unders, not that.
I mean, that's wild. That I remember. I think it was Alabama was playing in this game. I think it was Alabama and Rutgers earlier this season. That Thanksgiving week they're playing in the Players Era tournament in Vegas, and their total was 174 at tip off, and I was sitting there 174. This is insane. 180 is in a conference game.
Did 174 get there?
I think it did. It did. I think so. Both those teams, the defense, it's questionable out there.
Well, you need both teams chipping in to get to 180.
You certainly do. That's crazy. And that's is that an early game tomorrow?
That is what time? I'm looking.
Shame on me for not knowing the Saturday slate.
I'm sorry.
already.
I should know too. It is the early game,
Okay.
right out of the gate.
Cool. Oh, that'll be a fun game.
11 o'clock.
That'll be a really fun game.
11 to 10 o'clock tomorrow in the SEC is good.
Yeah, I believe it.
Sunday for the Tigers. Go out there and win. Just win.
Yeah.
That's the task, isn't it?
Yeah, I would like to see them look a little more hungry, and really kind of show that's not who we were last week. We're coming out there and we're going to be aggressive. This is a Charlotte team that they should go in there and they should win. I'm not saying, when I say they should win easy, I'm not saying they should win by 10 points, 20 points. They should win this game. This is a team that I believe has lost about 6 or 7 in a row. They're 0-5 in conference play. But it will be a how much do you want it game for the Tigers after that loss against Temple.
Sunday in the American has 3 interesting games. Tulane at Temple. Temple coming off last night's win. Rice at FAU, and Memphis at Charlotte. For that Ole Miss Mississippi State game tomorrow, for both sides, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time celebrating or wallowing in the loss, because on Tuesday night, State goes to Tennessee, and on Wednesday night, Ole Miss hosts A&M.
Yeah, well, that's
so
life in the SEC.
So you can't let it bother you long or enjoy it too long.
No, you get
I knew last night had completely was okay. Heck with it. It's going to be a loss. When Haggerty missed a free throw, then when he missed both free throws and then missed the next time for 3 straight, then that's not your night.
I'll tell you, my moment like that came when they're getting. It was funny. The commentators last night, they started the game, I think 4 or 5 minutes in, they're going, wow, this could be a bad night on the glass for Temple, and then it completely swung the other way. But late in the second half, Temple's at the free throw line. They miss the second free throw. It falls off the side of the rim and kind of bounces along the baseline, and Temple somehow gets the offensive rebound.
High off the glass. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they kicked it out for a three, and I go, okay, it's not the Tigers' night. They're going to lose this game.
And I'm not shocked by it. Speaking of Tiger bankroll, we have a new leader.
Yeah, that's 3 straight losses for me.
I think I lead you by $5.
Wow. Okay.
I was on the side of Temple last night, taking the points. I'm at 1,100, 8-9 for the year. You're at 1095, 9-8 for the year. Darian's at 1060, 9-8. No, I'm sorry. Connor's at 9-8, 1060 for the year. Darian, he lost last night, 8-9, 955 for the year. So we got a close game.
A really close game, and
who steps up and makes a big wager instead of playing this nickel and dime stuff?
That's a good question. I don't know. Sunday for me feels like a how bad do you want it game in terms of Tiger bankroll. I mean, this is a check yourself at the door.
I'm playing a little defense Sunday.
Yeah,
it's going to be light wager.
Now you got the lead. It's like that. Another thing in that game last night, Temple shot the ball really well, 40% from 3. They went 9 for 22 in that second half. They kind of limited the threes. They were shooting 3 for 7, 42%. And the Tigers, really kind of struggled to shoot the ball and, just didn't get a lot of shooting like we've seen them get in the past. That's led to, a top 5 or 6 3-point shooting offense in the country. And so that was one that really got them last night.
Our friend Darian's listening. He said, nope, no big swings. He's tried that.
Yeah, no. Well, you've tried it. I mean, early in the season.
It got me back in, though.
But it got you behind at first because we were getting worried about if you were going to have any money. And now you're all the way back in the front. No, it's gaming for sure for you, the way that this is all played out this year. But still, a lot of season to go, a lot of games to go. Game's not over by any means. And
get your app handy. We know Jerry Goff on Sunday. His rushing attempts aren't going to be anywhere near 5.5 like Patrick Mahomes on Saturday or on Saturday night. Goff. I wonder what I bet about 1.5 for him.
For Goff. Yeah, let's see. You're probably right. It's probably right around there. I was like you, Brett. I was a little surprised when I heard 5.5 for.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Let's see.
I think last weekend. I think last weekend the Buffalo's quarterback he had. I think he got over 6.5. I think Josh Allen got over 6.5 last week.
Really? Wow. Okay. I am not seeing attempts for a quarterback.
We'll find it.
We will find that. That will be my job the rest of the show, is to find what his rushing attempts are. Jared Goff rushing attempts for, I'll tell you this, Jared Goff's rushing yards is 0.5. You just got to get 1 yard, Brett. 1 yard.
Give me something.
I mean, just
not
fall
like
forward.
college. They don't subtract the sacks.
Yeah. So
just give me a yard.
Yeah, just roll out and
quarterback
fall forward.
Sneak.
Yeah, quarterback sneak. Exactly. A third
First
and
down.
short. Just fall forward.
Move the sticks.
And then that you're winning at minus
Ring the bell.
115.
Yeah.
I might have to bet that and just sweat it out in that game.
I love that.
That'd be a fun sweat. I'll have to keep that in mind. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this first hour, get to a break, and when we come back, talking more wagering with Bruce Marshall.
Through the end of January, Family Leisure has got to get rid of all the 2024 inventory because all the new 2025 items are starting to arrive. All floor models are up to 50% off. You want a cold plunge tub? They start at $49.99. Go the other route with a hot tub. Get $3,000 off with free steps and chemicals. Family Leisure has pool tables, arcades, ping pong, air hockey, even foosball tables from 20 to 60% off. Want beers in? Family Leisure Now's the time to start thinking about pool season. You can buy it now, plan the installation schedule, and be ready before everyone else. Special financing is also available. Hey, if you want to get free delivery on any of these items, you just tell the phone staff at Family Leisure because you heard this commercial. It's the floor model show. Now, through the end of January, Family Leisure, 100 I-40, family and fun come together.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-1509. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-1509, 800-555-1509, or biglou.com.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, EV6, 36-month lease, RU6, 21,425, 36-month lease, MSRP 55,820, K4 SEO 64,461, MSRP 24,715, Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through KFA, excludes tax out of license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 131/24.
I got Jeff Allen on the line. He's doing numbers I've never heard of before at Gossen Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Randy, when's the last time you heard of a new ride at $163 a month with electric EPA range of estimate 310? I got it in a 2024 Kia EV6, 6396 due at signing, 36-month lease. Or a 2025 K4 GT Line, 206 a month, 3499 due at signing, 24-month lease. 2025 Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 per month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
And every Gossett Kia comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa CPC Church, downtown Memphis.
This is original sports station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Good afternoon. We're dodging a few rain showers out here in rush hour traffic. Give yourself a little bit of extra time. Don't forget they're closing the 55 bridge tonight at 8 o'clock. It's not going to be reopened until Monday at 6 a.m. That could put a little bit more pressure and a little bit more volume of traffic on the I-40 bridge over the weekend. Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. They are your Valentine's Day headquarters. Go by and see them this weekend at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders. CBS Sports, the show alongside Vegas Sports.net for over 30 years on Memphis Radio. Sports Time, here's Bruce Marshall with Brian and Brian.
Bruce Marshall joins us now from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Talk some wagering. Bruce, let's start with the action in college football. We had the semifinal games last week, national championship game on Monday. How do you see this matchup? What did you make of the two teams that we now have in the national championship, Ohio State and Notre Dame, and what they did in their semifinal game?
Well, Brian, one thing, or two things. We have seen these teams play each of the last two seasons, and there was something similar about both of those games. Notre Dame was really able to slow down Ohio State. Now, it didn't win either of those games, but did cover the point spread in both, and really probably could have won that game very easily last year in South Bend. It was a last-second touchdown by Ohio State in a really madcap drive in the last minute, engineered by Kyle McCord, of all people. Connected on a big fourth down. Big, 20-yard gain in the last 15 seconds down near the goal line, and then they scored on a Henderson run with 1 second left to win. Did not cover that game, but 17-14 there. 21-10, first game 2 years ago, and that was Marcus Freeman's first regular season game. He did coach the bowl game versus Oak State the prior January, but both times Notre Dame was right there, and big underdog 2 years ago. Defense kept the C.J. Stroud offense really in check. That was a 10-7 Notre Dame lead late in the third quarter in that game. Ended up 21-10, last year 17-14. So both these games landed on 31 points. That makes me think, series history here recently and patterns, to me, suggest this thing might be another under on Monday night. Ohio State, and those were also, I don't think those were Notre Dame teams as good as the current Irish edition, and I'm not sure about Ohio State, even with their presence in the title game. I think that, realistically, should have been an overtime game with Ohio State and Texas last week. That was a deceiving scoreline, and if not for, I think, maybe the single worst play call, or certainly in contention for it all year, that second down run at the 1 by Texas to go that wide, that play was doomed from the start, and how they ever called that, I don't know. So you put it at 3rd and 9 there, and then it falls apart. Then you get the strip sack and the scoop and score. Very deceiving. But Ohio State's defense did come up pretty big there, and they did that in the Penn State game too, back in mid-season. So they have saved a couple games for the Buckeyes, and they haven't allowed more than 21 except the first Oregon game back on October 12th. One other note here. We're hearing a lot about, can Notre Dame stick with Jeremiah Smith and these other Ohio State wideouts? Look, they played Marvin Harrison Jr. each of the last 2 years and kept him under some relative check. I don't think Smith is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. This defense is real. They're fast, and Al Golden is a real sage defensive coordinator here. And like I said, Ohio State, the outliers, I think, are those first two games in the playoffs here, the Tennessee and Oregon games. I expect nothing like that. Notre Dame might need to win the turnover battle and get a couple of big plays. Their offense is not always that smooth, but they do seem to make big plays. Leonard is good for that. Greathouse, the receiver. Love had the long run against Indiana. One or two of those and get the turnover edge. I think Notre Dame's got a chance not just to cover this number, but win. So I'm going to call it 20-17 Irish. By the way, this number, point spread has dropped. So I'm here, 9.5. Early in the week, we're seeing a lot of 8s, a couple 8.5 still out there, but looks like the public has sort of been thinking this number's too high as well.
Notre Dame straight up 20-17 over the Buckeyes, and I think I'm for Notre Dame. The last time Notre Dame defeated Ohio State, Halloween, 1936.
Wow.
Yeah, they haven't. They didn't play, I think, then till 95.
Very true.
And then they had a bowl game about 15 years ago, or maybe a little less than that. But they haven't played too much. But you're right. And last year, Notre Dame thought they had ended that streak, and that was like a very bitter loss for the Irish. By the way, both these teams, each of the last three seasons, have had different quarterbacks. It was Buckner, Hartman, and now Riley Leonard for Notre Dame, and it was Stroud and McCord, and now Will Howard for Ohio State. That's just that's just sort of part and parcel to college football and the changes we see every year.
Great point. Tyler Buckner. Wow. Tyler Buckner, starting quarterback at Alabama for a little while and at Notre Dame for a good while. Played really, really well in his Notre Dame bowl game. But, Bruce, how did Notre Dame become America's team? Why are we pulling for Notre Dame?
I think more people are pulling against Ohio State. Notre Dame is pretty polarizing. It's been a long time since they've really been in this position. I guess they did have
a
title game against Bama, but they were really a little over a decade ago, and they were really outclassed in that game. Notre Dame's pretty polarizing. A lot of people don't like Notre Dame. I don't think anybody likes Ohio State unless you went there or you have some sort of allegiance to the school. There is just nothing endearing about anything they're doing. They have a payroll about the same as the Pittsburgh Pirates. They look like a professional operation there. No fun. Ryan Day. I've been trying to do things to make me like Ryan Day a little bit more. He's a nice family guy. He's got 3 kids, so that's good. So I can't really dislike him that much, but he doesn't look like he's having any fun. And nobody at Ohio State, this just does not look like a joyful thing at Ohio State. I think also a lot of people sort of like Marcus Freeman, just his demeanor, pretty organized. He sort of coaches, I think, a little bit like John Harbaugh. Very organized. His team's, disciplined, don't seem to make a lot of mistakes. The NFL is interested too, by the way. I think there's some people there who see another Tony Dungy in the making, and the Bears are apparently going to interview him after the title game on Monday night, so keep an eye on that situation as well.
Oh, he deserves so much better than going to work for Kevin Warren, though.
Oh, yes, I know.
Just one of the dumber humans that's ever been involved in sports and the decisions he was making with the Big Ten years ago. Bruce, I'm for Notre Dame. I love their history and tradition. Recognize it. I don't think you can call yourself a college football fan without knowing it and recognizing it. It's been a long time since 1988. They've been through a lot of coaches. I think it'd be fun for them to have their moment.
Yeah, it's been, 88 was their last national title, and I guess that wasn't tainted, but I do not believe they were the best team that year. And just like one of my pet peeves always, I don't know why Jimmy Johnson went for a 2-point conversion in that game.
Yeah.
The
famous game.
Infuriatingly titled Catholics versus Convicts game. My God, if Notre Dame was doing that to people, that made a lot of people mad. But if you remember, the refs gave Miami no breaks in that whole game, and he put everything down to a 2-point conversion in South Bend in the last minute. He should have kicked the extra point and say, all right, you want to play us again in a neutral field? We'll see you in a bowl game, Notre Dame. That's what he should have done. He put the whole season on a 2-point conversion that missed. They would have beat Notre Dame in a rematch. To this day, I don't believe Notre Dame should have won the 88 national title. I don't think they've really got best team. Last time we saw that Notre Dame probably in 77, I think. And even that team lost to Ole Miss, so it's been a long time for the Irish.
It sure has been. And that ESPN 30 for 30, Catholics versus Convicts, you watch that game, and on the sideline, you can see a young Butch Davis as defensive coordinator for the U with Jimmy Johnson, very young Jimmy Johnson, very young Lou Holtz. Everybody was young then. And also on the Miami sideline, you can see a very young linebackers coach, the gentleman from Alabama, Senator Tommy Tuberville.
That's right. He was there. We were all a lot younger in 1988.
Better believe it.
Brett.
That's funny. Bruce Marshall joins us every week to talk wagering. Well, we've talked college. Let's get to the NFL for the weekend. Let's start with the first game tomorrow, Texans and Chiefs. Kansas City, an 8-point favorite, the total at 41.5. What do you like in this game, Bruce?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs will win. I'm having a little trouble with the number just because they had some problems covering spreads late in the season. They did sort of pick up the pace in December. Throw out that Denver game because they just located it there. But they did sort of pick up the pace and were covering some numbers. They look really good. The last time we saw Mahomes and company was that Christmas game against Pittsburgh. One of their best games of the season. They won that one handily, but we haven't seen them since then. That's over 3 weeks. We'll see if any rust sort of sets in. In that late season streak, they did beat the Texans by 8. So this number, a little dicey here. I don't think Houston, this is where it's going to hop off the merry-go-round here. I think they were on their way to losing last week, and the Chargers just imploded in that game. Give Texans defense credit, making a couple of big plays. They also blocked an extra point and ran it back for 2. But and they did run the ball better in the second half. But C.J. Stroud did not look all that good, and he hasn't looked all that good most of this season. He certainly didn't have a year like he did a year ago. And part of it's because a lot of his better targets aren't there. Tank Dell's hurt, Diggs is hurt, and he did get Nico Collins back, but it just has not been nearly as smooth for them. Kansas City's defense is quite underrated. I give Spagnuolo credit. I think they'll keep the Texans in complete check here and probably win and probably cover and maybe even an under. By the way, all those games went under last weekend, save the Texans-Chargers game, which looked like it should have gone under, and they had a couple, pick sixes and then that pinball 86-yard touchdown to McConkey by the Chargers probably shouldn't have happened either. That game should have gone under. So that's been the trend of these playoffs. So maybe an under first there, and I lean a little bit to the Chiefs.
Have you ever seen a more picked-apart 15-2 team than Kansas City?
Yeah, I know. Part of it was because they had that 7-game non-spread cover streak, and they kept having escape week after week after week. They blocked that field goal by the Broncos in November, and then early December they hit that field goal off the upright to beat the Chargers. They seem to just talk about perils of Pauline. But I do think once they got beyond that, and then in mid-December, the Cleveland win, the Houston win, and especially the Pittsburgh win, that sort of looked like the playoff Chiefs. And I think that's what certainly Chiefs fans hope they see tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's go to the game tomorrow night. Commanders and Lions. Detroit a 9.5-point favorite. The total at 55.5. Before we get to side or total on this game, Brett asked me before we went to our last break if I could find a Jared Goff rush attempt total for him. I know we don't usually speak props with you. I couldn't find the rush attempts, but I did find rushing yards for Jared Goff. The over-under is set at 0.5. I'm thinking about just betting it and sweating out that he just falls forward and gets a yard on Saturday, Bruce.
Yeah, remember, sacks don't count for rush yardage, so that's a plus. But the one thing, I've had some of these before. When the quarterback takes a kneel down at the end of the game, that you get minuses, and I've done that before, and it I've lost it. A quarterback's losing 2 or 3 at the end. So, but I think you're probably right there. Washington is interesting here. This is the one team left that's really playing with house money, and I think they're more dangerous than Houston right now, and it's partly because what Jaden Daniels has done. I mean, he just looks impervious to pressure. He almost seems to enjoy it. He's jovial. He's laughing. He's keeping everybody loose. And the way this team has won some games this year, and even the one they didn't win, the first Dallas game, was pretty dramatic, the way they put themselves in position to at least have a chance there with that long touchdown to McLaurin. This team's got a little magic dust about it, and they'll just keep coming back. I mean, they were in trouble last week, and they found a way to beat a very dangerous Bucs team. And we'll see about the Lions here. I don't know that Montgomery coming back means that much. They were doing pretty fine with Jamar Gibbs handling the bulk of the running in recent weeks. And I just think this ultra gung-ho style of Dan Campbell, it boomeranged on the Lions in the NFC title game last year. This insanity of going forward on fourth downs all the time, eschewing field goals, just, spitting conventional wisdom in the face. It cost them last year. And there's just an arrogance the way the Lions play that bothers me. This defense, I know they came up big against the Vikings, but we saw Sam Darnold completely evaporate there in those last couple games. They had been giving up points and yards to everybody. Daniels can move, too. We saw Buffalo really bother the Lions in that game in mid-December when Josh Allen just kept drives alive. He was able to improvise and keep the Bills' offense on the field. Daniels might be able to do some of that. I think this could be a close game. Not sure Washington can win. I'll take the 9.5. This is one I might go over as well, just because the Lions play at that frenetic pace, and Washington can chase this game. So I think it's going to be kind of close. I'll take the Commanders.
Every time I see Jaden Daniels, I think back to that wild game last year in Oxford, and I think when people say that Lane Kiffin's never won a big game at Ole Miss, I go, he beat the Rookie of the Year in the NFL and the Heisman Trophy winner, and oh, by the way, this year against Georgia. But that night, I knew he was Superman.
Yeah, when he gets going, I even saw that when he was at Arizona State a couple times. When things just started rolling for him, he just kept making big play after big play, and we've seen some of that with Washington this year, and and even before, they were winning games before that Chicago game in late October. But that's sort of the way Washington can win. By the way, that turned Chicago's season completely around to winning that game. I can't think of one game this year which really, a fork in the road game more than that Chicago-Washington at the end of October on the 27th.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to Sunday, Bruce. Rams and Eagles will start the day. Philadelphia, 6.5-point favorite. This total at 43.5. What do you like here?
Scary for the Eagles. I like kind of both dogs in the NFC. The Rams, to me, look like I think they got a shot in this game. Now, they did meet in November on a Sunday night in L.A. at Inglewood, and Saquon went wild, 255. Rushing, Philly over 300, and they won 37-20. There was a point in November, though, the Rams were a little bit flat. I mean, they lost that game to Miami on a Monday night at home. They had a lot of trouble at New England. And then that Eagles game, then they sort of steadied themselves after that. The defense has played very well since the Buffalo game 6 weeks ago. 4 of the 5 games since, they allowed single digits. And the one they didn't was the one where McVay subbed liberally against the Seahawks in the last regular season game. This time, I would think McVay and the staff are going to do what they can to try and limit Barkley beating them. Easier said than done. But at this point, I think the way to get the Eagles, you make Jalen Hurts beat you. And he looked rusty coming back off the concussion last week. He was not that sharp against Green Bay, and I maintain the Packers had a lot to do with that game ending up the way it did, with some real sloppiness and bad decisions by Jordan Love. Normally I don't see Matthew Stafford doing that. I mean, the Rams have been pretty darn formidable since after about the first month of the season when they were without Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Nacua especially has come back, and that has given Stafford his targets. Kyron Williams, very good functional running back. The Rams are in this game, and I think they got a shot to win it back there. But I'll leave it just at this. I will take the points and maybe look another under here because, like we said, that's the way these games have been going.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the final game, Ravens and Bills. This feels like the big one. Baltimore, a 1.5-point favorite on the road. The total at 51.5. What do you like in this one?
You know, eventually something came to me. I do like something in this game, although talking to a lot of people during the week, it's amazing. I'm getting about a split response from people on this game, and that sort of figures because this is really the feature game of the weekend. I think the total is way too high here, though. Looking at it, 51. First of all, we mentioned how the playoff games have been going. Second, both these teams, especially Baltimore, run heavy. The weather is going to be really cold there on Sunday night. Be in the teens, maybe some snow. I don't know. I mean, it's so cold back there. I mean, listen, they moved the inauguration indoors on Monday, and Washington's not quite Buffalo, but that's what's gripping a lot of the East. It's going to be really cold, and they're going to be a lot of running. And I know Baltimore did get Buffalo pretty good early in the season when Derrick Henry ran nuts in the first game. I just don't see that happening up there in Buffalo. And I know Josh Allen hasn't gotten to a Super Bowl yet either, but neither has Lamar in Baltimore. And every year a handful of them, when the Ravens have gone out in the playoffs in the Lamar era, it's generally been in games where he just didn't deliver. And let's see if he can get over the hump here. I don't think so. I'm going to lean a little bit to Buffalo. The home field, I think, and the revenge will mean something. But under is my main call here. I just don't see this as a super high scoring game. They got to 45 in the first game. and I don't think they get past 51 here.
That definitely seems like the big one, maybe the most competitive game this weekend in the NFL. Well, Bruce, before we let you go, where can we find more of you?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Check me out online at VegasInsider.com, as always. The old standard bearer with the picks, also CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com, and the new place for picks with a different twist. That's at winnersandwhiners.com and picksandparlays.com.
Bruce, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Friday.
Okay, guys, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce. Have a great weekend, and good luck to you, Bruce Marshall, with us every Friday. And I love the straight-up Notre Dame pick on Monday night. What do you think?
I like it. I
like it, too.
It's a big number. I mean, I was kind of looking at that 8.5. That seems like a lot for a national championship game.
And the Ryan Day pressure will really be built in.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be a fun one Monday night.
Many great things about the new year, but the best thing about a new year is getting something new to drive, and you can do that in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet, where all the Silverados are. Get $1,500 in extra savings when you trade in a 2011 or newer passenger car or light-duty truck. 1.9 financing on new Blazers, or 2.9 with no payments for 90 days on a new Equinox. Yes, you can be payment-free until April. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star Chevrolet. First exit down Highway 78 when you cross into Mississippi. Take that exit, Kraft Goodman Road. You're there. If you're law enforcement, first responder, military, educator, healthcare worker, recent grad, instant extra $500 off. Nobody has the certified and pre-owned like All-Star Chevrolet and Olive Branch, Silverados, Sierra trucks, Nissans, Toyotas, Fords, Jeeps. You got to drive this red Corvette Stingray. You'll love it. If you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star and Olive Branch and get the most money back for it today. Together, let's drive to All-Star for the fresh start sale to start 2025 now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to another break. When we come back, we got to switch gears and talk a little SEC and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Ty Richardson, he'll join us. We'll talk about the Razorbacks' struggle through the SEC gauntlet to start conference play. What else is going on in the SEC? We'll do that next with Ty Richardson.
specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Sometimes you just want to make it fast, like the fun that comes from a quick and nimble 2024 Honda CB500F. This amazing style streetlights with a narrow 471cc twin, along with sleek GFG's blade, dual disc front brakes, and standard ABS, all ready for the price. Find fun in all your Lexus 2024 Honda CB500F. Available at DeSoto Honda, 5656 Golden Road in Olive Branch.
High-energy, full-body workout that utilizes the same equipment and technology employed by Floyd Mayweather to achieve his impressive 50-0 record. The workout features 4 types of heavy bags, treadmills, rows, battle ropes, weights, and much more. Visit Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, located at 2257 North Germantown Parkway in Cordova. Train like a champ. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. 901-673-1267.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family-friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for the loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's on Highway 64 in Marble, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Mid-South, it's time for a new year and a new ride
from Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Get 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, a perfect compact hatchback for commutes, getaways, and just about everything else for $299 a month. Or buy Mirage for $18,410, gets 43 mpg highway. Or take your pick from 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid PHEV, named 2025 Family Green Car of the Year for 3 straight years. Or 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander, now just $399 a month. Plus, get peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today to start your year off right. 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage RHO 15630, MSRP 18410, PHEV RZO 66681, MSRP 42750, Outlander RZO 88655, MSRP 32770. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's cranking it pretty good through the Midtown area just in the last few minutes on 240 southbound from South Parkway down to Norris. Traffic's on the increase 240 as you get onto 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Still seeing a few rain showers out here in certain areas. It has picked up with traffic with a little bit more volume on 40 East from Warford, Hollywood, all the way over to White Station. They're closing that 55 bridge tonight starting at 8 o'clock. That's going to be closed all weekend long. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Time to talk Razorbacks on Sports Time. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant and Brett.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Ty Richardson joins us now from ESPN Arkansas in Fort Smith to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC. Ty, road game at LSU. Thought it was a good opportunity for Arkansas to get that win. First half, it looked like they were going to do just that, but second half, LSU really dominated. They get the 4-point win. Arkansas falls to 0-4 in conference play. Give us a little taste. What is the temperature in your neck of the woods right now with this team and with its head coach?
It's not great, Brian. I mean, 0-4, you maybe have the most expensive roster in college basketball. That shouldn't lead anyone to be happy. Coaches, players, the fans. It doesn't look like it's that promising to turn around. Arkansas plays in Columbia tomorrow, a team that hasn't lost at home all season. You've got some winnable games. Oklahoma hasn't won a game all season. Texas has only won one. You play South Carolina, who's over in the league. So there's like some points in the season. It's like, okay, you can pick off one or two, but you got to go to Lexington. You've got to go to Auburn. You've got to play Alabama. So the SEC is as tough as it's ever been in basketball, and there's no rest for the weary with this Arkansas basketball team.
It's really not. What's the shooting is the problem. But is it the scheme, or is it the players that are being highly paid just not delivering?
That's last year. Kentucky had the best shooting team it's ever had under John Calipari. I mean, you think about Reed Shepherd, Dillingham, the rest of that crew. They just couldn't play like defense. And then this year, defensively, they can't rebound. They play like good first shot defense, but then the second shot it leads to often a second opportunity, or it does lead to a second opportunity. The offense isn't able to execute. So it's frustrating, guys. It really is. Hopefully Arkansas can bounce back in some way.
Yeah.
It feels like the tipping point, or the really exasperated point, it won't come with a road loss. It will come with a home loss. Next Wednesday night at home at Bud Walton Arena against Georgia. Ranked going into this week. I don't know that they will be by the time they play on Wednesday. And then a week from tomorrow night at home against Oklahoma. That should be a pretty big weekend Saturday night crowd. I think, Ty, if they lost that one, that's when the fans maybe really get something off their chest directed at the team and at the coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty tough on Cal in this 4-game losing streak. And I mean, when you see what Pope's doing at Kentucky, can you blame Arkansas fans for being mad? I mean, Mark Pope had the exact same situation John Calipari found himself in, a completely revamped roster. The difference is Pope's 3-1 in the league and is being out. I mean, Cal beat Michigan and they beat Michigan, but there's not a lot of success you can point to outside of that. I mean, these non-conference games against like Sister of the Poor squad, just that doesn't mean anything to Arkansas fans. And start 0-4 the league, so there's a lot of things you can point to, stats. But that weekend you so eloquently pointed out, if they falter there, it's baseball time, and we know that Arkansas fans have never been disappointed by the baseball team, right?
No, never.
It's just the ever circle of life around here, guys.
Yeah, but that's why tomorrow night, win on the road, that really would settle everything down, and then the chance to string something together. I was listening to a lot of the game late on Tuesday night, and it felt like listening to Chuck and to Matt that they were close down the stretch of that game, just couldn't get anything to go down and get any momentum from it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Stats, you're exactly right. I mean, when you've had some games this season where, like, you get some stops defensively and you get jacked up and charged up and you're like, all right, they're going to turn this into something. And then they just can't throw in the ocean. If you look at, I pointed this out several times this week, Boogie Fland's assisted turnover ratio is great. It's, I think, number one of all freshmen in the SEC, maybe in the country, and like top 15 nationally. But he just can't shoot. I mean, he's shooting under 30%, I think, in SEC play. And so when your starting point guard, who takes the most volume of shots by a country mile, is missing as bad as he is, they just don't have enough talent to make that up, which is not customary of a Cal team. If one kid falters, the others step up. They just didn't have this year offensively, guys.
I thought Matt Zimmerman made a great point in his post-game analysis about it. It happens to scuffling, struggling teams. When you need any kind of little old break, then you run into a team that makes 26 out of 28 free throws.
Yeah, and Arkansas only got 13 attempts off in that game, Stats, and so not only did you have the disparity, and they actually shot the ball well from the line. I think they went 11-13, but it's that difference, and it's the fact that, as you alluded to, LSU knocked down 90+% of their free throw attempts.
It's impossible to beat.
Yeah, which that just doesn't happen in college basketball games. It's not like we're watching the New Orleans Pelicans versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right. We're watching Arkansas versus LSU, which, by the way, if you watch that game from the beginning, it looked like a boys' club game. I mean, it was terrible. Neither team was 4-2 at the under 16. Guys, it was a grotesque game at the very beginning. Then it ended up, I think, 78-74 the final. So there was some scoring. It was a lackluster game that LSU pulled out.
And a very detached, unanimated Baton Rouge PMAC, too. That wasn't a raucous building.
No. I mean, it's not like they were cheering on Jack or Coach Brown was heading things up. It's just, it's lethargic. McMahon got a big win, and that's big for him. I mean, they were on the right track, it looked like, after year two, and then this year's just hadn't gone their way. So we'll see if LSU is able to capitalize on that, or if they go back in the pit of despair after this weekend.
Who do your callers, your feedback, your friends, who the blame game? Do they want to give it to John Calipari, to Hunter Yurachek, or to the highly paid players?
Well, I think it's a combination. I mean, Cal gets the brunt of it because he's the head man. Players, NIL always gets brought up, but, it's not an issue in Lexington right now. At least it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be an issue in Auburn and what they've got. Doesn't seem to be an issue. I know Alabama lost Ole Miss, but it didn't seem to be an issue there. It doesn't seem to be an issue in Oxford. And Chris Beard's undefeated right now in this league. So, it's just selective blaming. When teams are winning, no one has anything bad to say. When they're losing, you just blame everyone. It's a combination of a lot of things. Fans are just football season. You went 6-6 in the regular season. You won your bowl game, but it's not like it was just an incredible run or anything. So it's tough being an Arkansas Razorback fan right now, guys. There's no question.
Who is getting the most heat for NIL wise of, hey, we're paying you this much and you're not producing?
John L. Davis.
That's who I thought it was going to be.
That's the biggest. John L. Davis comes over as one of the highly sought-out transfers and just hasn't been what Arkansas fans, or I even think Cal and the rest of the coaching staff thought it was going to be. That's the most notable one, easily, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was the one that in the preseason, Brian, I think we had David Cobb on, and we were looking for this year's Dalton Connect. And I think David said he thought it would be John L. Davis at Arkansas.
Wow. So it's David's fault. I can blame. I can finally blame someone.
Yeah, let's
That's right.
Oh, we can't do David like that. He's not getting any sleep anyway.
That's right. Yeah.
But he thought he would have a big impact.
Well, I don't know what that's one of the biggest mysteries on the team right now. Like I watch him, he goes after rebounds, he plays defense. It's not like he's just giving up. He just hasn't. I don't know what the deal is, guys, and I wish I could hear an honest statement from either him and Cal, or like, hey, this is off the record. Just tell me what happened or what's going on. And I mean, if it's an injury, if it's just fit, I don't know. And it continues to plague this basketball team because I think they expected a lot more offensively from him.
Anyone picking at John Calipari over his engagement, his involvement. There were a couple plays in the Ole Miss game that the John Calipari, Bryant, that you and I both saw and watched for a long time at UMass, Memphis, and at Kentucky, he would have gone crazy. And he just kind of, when got the whiteboard out and kind of wanted to teach and coach, and he would have broken that board over somebody's head a few years ago.
Well, it's funny you mention that stats because he talked about, like, in the pre and post game, he's going to say, I'm going to coach differently tonight. I'm going to be more joyful. I'm going to be less, like, intense. And I don't know if that's the exact word, but it was more of that, like, not happy-go-lucky, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it didn't pan out. I mean, they lost the game by 4. They had it. They were up by 12, I think, at one point, and they just couldn't close it. And that's hopefully not a characteristic of this team, but early on, it kind of looks like it might be, fellas.
Yeah.
Joyful as John is not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, you
want crazy.
Yeah, and it just, again, he's searching right now. He's trying to find what works with his basketball team. Muss was trying to do the same thing last year. He wasn't able to, and we'll see if Cal can figure it out with this club.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Trevon Brazile. What have you thought of him this year? I mean, because he became kind of Mr. Arkansas basketball and then returned this year, even with Cal coming back, and was like that lone guy to still be on the roster. What's the reaction to him been this year?
He played pretty good this last game. I think some people want him to start, just go with bigger lineup, and they haven't done that yet. They've run that lineup the last 6 straight games. I think you'll see a different one on Saturday. I mean, you've got to. You can't run the same lineup out there. There's no chance that team wins. So, I mean, Travis has his ups and downs. I've seen him hustle. I've seen him block shots. I've seen him hit putbacks. It's the word consistency. And you can say that about every player on this team, with the exception of maybe Deuce Zero, because I feel like every time you look up on a box score, he's got like 17 and 7, and a pretty good efficiency. In fact, he leads the SEC in field goal percentage. So outside of him, there hasn't been enough consistency with this basketball team.
Arkansas fully able to get their NIL and their basketball NIL right. Okay, might not be working, but they got it funded. They were able to get it right. Never mind that education department decision day. That's not lasting until 10 after 11 on Monday morning. Forget that. I mean, college sports isn't going to everybody gets paid equally. You can forget that. There might not even be an education department by noon on Tuesday. So with NIL, do you hear any back channel or open conversation about Arkansas close to getting it right NIL for football?
I mean, not to the extent of Ole Miss or Ohio State or even the top SEC teams that you have to compete against. It's just Arkansas's far behind. I mean, when you start behind the 8 ball in the least talented recruiting area in the SEC, which is Arkansas, there's no arguing that. And you're already behind the 8 ball in terms of wins the last decade and a half. That's not going to bowl. That's not going to like rally, and it's not going to be a revival of this. So I haven't heard anything. If there's something going on behind the scenes that I'm unaware of, I hope it's happening. Because I mean, you're going to Oxford, you're going to Knoxville, you're going to Baton Rouge, and you're going to Austin next year. I don't care how many players that lost. I mean, how are you going to tell me that team finishes better than this season. That's a stretch, guys.
Mizzou really has the NIL. Okay, so Monday night, and I want you to tell me through the prism of the Razorbacks hosting Notre Dame next September. Do you want to be hosting the national champion or the runner-up for the national championship?
I think you want. I want Notre Dame to win. I like Marcus Freeman, and the Vantage. I mean, just to say that, hey, we get to play the national champion. I mean, national champion runner-up's pretty cool, but you got to say national champion, right? I mean, that's where I feel like you got to go, and I hope Notre Dame wins on Monday night. I think Ohio State's going to be too much. Notre Dame's had these injuries that you worry about if you're Marcus Freeman, and I think they're ultimately going to kind of push them backwards against a Buckeyes team that looks unstoppable through three playoff games.
Yeah, that should be a fun one Monday night, and it should be interesting to see what Arkansas basketball can do in their game tomorrow afternoon. Ty, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Guys, looking forward to it. Hopefully we got a great NFL slate and college football playoff national championship on Monday night.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ty. The Chiefs, are they your team?
No, I'm a Packers fan, and we stunk.
But there's a lot of Northwest Arkansas people that like the Chiefs and go to games.
Yeah, ask them if they knew anyone prior to Patrick Mahomes. Those are the most fair-weather fans I think I've ever met.
I got you. Thank you, Ty. Have a great weekend.
See you guys.
You got it.
Ty Richardson joining us to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC.
Now, when I was in school, and I would imagine this is still the case, there was a huge kind of Kansas City, Overland Park, Kansas contingent, and I'm talking a good number of people on campus, and they were real Chiefs fans, including Joe Klein from the basketball team.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that area.
But they brought it with them.
Sure.
And I think Ty, now if you're there and you don't have a Kansas City tie, you became a bandwagon.
It's very, very easy to become a fan of
and
that
a bunch
team.
of Cowboy fans.
Of course, we're everywhere, Brett. I mean,
that you are.
Find a part of the country that isn't a Cowboy fan. We're supreme, I guess you could say.
But I never felt any fans for the old Big Red, the St. Louis Cardinals football. In Northwest Arkansas, unlike in baseball, everybody was.
Of course, yeah, that is a little interesting, but always fun catching up with Ty. Let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
They're finally gone. The holidays are over and your relatives have finally gone back to where they live, and you're free to live the way you want to live. Visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar, as often as possible. We both know that during the holidays, you hauled your out-of-towners to Bell Tavern, and they had a great time. Couldn't stop talking about Bell Tavern. But now, you can be at Bell Tavern without having to tiptoe around politics, because no one at Bell Tavern has any interest in talking about politics. Leave politics outside of the bar. And your relatives.
This new year, I want to spend more time with my family, get healthier, and make sure my finances are in order. That includes finally securing life insurance. My friend recommended SelectQuote. They've helped more than 2 million people find coverage in the last 40 years. In 15 minutes, a licensed insurance agent found me a $500,000 policy for only $16 a month. And my husband got a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Plus, we qualified for same-day life insurance. No medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. With SelectQuote, even if you have a health concern, be it high blood pressure, diabetes, even heart disease, their experienced agents can find you the right life insurance policy at the lowest price. Make life insurance the first resolution you check off your list this year.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-860-4545 to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-860-4545. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-860-4545. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, EV6, 36-month lease, RU 621,425, 36-month lease, MSRP 55,820, K4 SEO 64,461, MSRP 24,715, Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through KFA, excludes tax title license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 131/24.
I got Jeff Allen on the line. He's doing numbers I've never heard of before at Gossen Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Randy, when's the last time you heard of a new ride at $163 a month with electric EPA range of estimate 310? I got it in a 2024 Kia EV6, $63.96 due at signing, 36-month lease. Or a 2025 K4 GT Line, $206 a month, $34.99 due at signing, 24-month lease. 2025 Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 per month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
And every Gossett Kia comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, my big number of the day, actually I have two big numbers today. The first one is the number 3. Brett, you mentioned this earlier in the show today. Last night, AP Top 25 teams went 0-3. Number 20, Michigan, lost to Minnesota. Number 18, Memphis, lost to Temple. And number 16, Gonzaga, lost to Oregon State. It's the first time ranked teams were 0-3 or worse on a single day since November 15th, 2001. On that day in 2001, number 4, Kentucky, lost to Western Kentucky. Number 10, St. Joseph's, lost to Eastern Washington. And number 20, USC, lost to Fresno State. So a historic day of ranked teams losing last night in college basketball. My other big number is also...
I didn't know I was that close. I'm glad I didn't step on your big number.
You're very, very close. But I had faith in you, Brett. I had a lot of faith in you. My other big number...
I didn't know it. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. My other big number is an NBA big number. SGA is getting kind of close to Michael Jordan in this category. SGA has scored 30 or more points in a Thunder win in exactly half of OKC's games this season, 20 of the 40. The last player to do so in at least half of his team's games in a season was Michael Jordan in the 95-96 season. He did it in 51.2% of games. So right now, SGA at 50%. He keeps that up. He will be in a company that belongs to just him and MJ.
Well, that's a rare club.
That's pretty good. I mean, I say it all the time. If you want to put me in a category with Michael Jordan and anything, I'll take it. I mean, you're the GOAT.
Take it. Way to go, SGA. And that was something last night. That would be a fun NBA final. A lot of ball between now and then, though. My big number is 918. That's Derrick Henry's playoff rushing yards in his career. 918 rushing yards so far in his career, and that puts him 53 behind Marshawn Lynch for 8th. He's currently 9th. He's 53 behind Marshawn Lynch. 79 to pass John Riggins for 7th. So he might get both of those tomorrow. He's Hall of Fame bound. And you knew who else should be? Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, 100%. I love Marshawn Lynch. I don't think there should be even any debate on if he should be in the Hall of Fame.
And won't that be one more glorious speech?
Oh, man. I mean, talk about that one could go in 500 million different directions. It would be awesome.
And go up there, and you go up there and be yourself.
Be yourself.
If they need to have the 7-second delay on, have it on.
Well, and that was always the best part of Marshawn Lynch is he was always just himself. And
that's it.
It was always great.
People fell in love with it, and he played his rear end off.
He did. He was a unbelievable player. And now it's always fun whenever you'll see a random advertisement that has him in there. You go, there's Marshawn.
I think he's pitch perfect.
He is. He's fantastic. No, I love Marshawn Lynch. But that number with Derrick Henry, that's a really good one. I mean, we know he's been a force to be reckoned with, but certainly even in the playoffs, he's been great.
Why in the world did the Titans trade A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry? And fire Mike Vrabel?
Yeah.
Can you begin to tell me any of that?
No. I mean,
Landon, help us.
Yeah,
You're the
our
Titans
Titan
expert.
None of it makes sense. None of it does.
How to get mad overnight by the Tennessee Titans?
Amy Adams needs to sell the team because
sell the team.
Sell the team. Start over because nothing is working. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah,
that's just and Rand Carthon was set up to fail, and he did, and royally. That's three. That they come back haunt them all the time.
Yeah, that does feel like if you're gonna write a playbook of how to wreck a franchise, it would be trade the star receiver, trade the Hall of Fame running back, and fire
the hotshot coach.
The hotshot coach. Those would be 1, 2, 3.
And then that's how you get the number 1 overall pick.
Exactly. Yes, that's how you end up in
and
the
what are we going to do with
draft.
that? And what are we going to do with that pick?
Yeah.
Who knows? At this point, trade it and let's do something else. I don't even know.
I kind of like trading. I'd rather get somebody
Cowboys
I
might
know
be on
that
the
can
phone
play.
with you
I
soon
mean, my
if
personal
they-
opinion, I don't want Shador. I don't want Cam. I don't think a new QB is going to mesh well in an offense that has a fair mix.
You're still
of,
Team Will Levis, all right? Let's
I didn't.
go.
No, I didn't say Team Will
No.
Levis. We need a veteran quarterback in Tennessee right now.
Sign Sam Darnold.
That wouldn't be bad. That feels
Trade
like a
the
good
pick.
spot for
I
Sam
wouldn't be
Darnold.
against it. The
It's
thing
a good
is,
spot.
the thing about Sam Darnold is I feel like you look at his career and he's only been successful really at the Vikings this past year with different
For about
organizations.
14 weeks. That's it.
But with different organizations, he just never seems to mesh, and I don't think he would mesh at Tennessee. I don't think it would be good for him.
Yeah,
The best thing about a new year is getting started with something new to drive, and you can do it from All-Star Chevrolet. Happy 2025 from everyone at All-Star in Olive Branch. That's where all the Silverados are. Get $1,500 back in extra savings when you trade in a 2011 or newer passenger car light-duty truck. 1.9 financing on new Blazers, or 2.9 with no payments for 90 days on that new Equinox. You can be payment-free until April. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star Chevrolet. First exit into Mississippi on Kraft Goodman Road, right down Highway 78. Take Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there. And if you're law enforcement, first responder, recent grad, military, healthcare worker, educator, you get an extra $500 off right off the deal. Nobody has the certified and pre-owned like All-Star Chevrolet, Sierra trucks, Silverados, Nissans, Toyotas, Jeeps, Fords. Got to drive the red Corvette Stingray. And if you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch and get the most money back for it, whether you bought it from them or not. Together, let's drive to All-Star Chevy for the fresh start sale to start 2025, going on now at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, let's get to another break and wrap up this hour. When we come back, a lot of people have talked about the Tigers' loss last night against Temple, but we'll talk to somebody that was in the building. Jason Munns, the Tiger basketball beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He'll join us next. He'll tell us what he saw last night in that loss against Temple. We'll also start previewing Sunday's game against Charlotte. We'll do all that next on Sports Time.
SelectQuote. They've helped more than 2 million people find coverage in the last 40 years. In 15 minutes, a licensed insurance agent found me a $500,000 policy for only $16 a month. And my husband got a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Plus, we qualified for same-day life insurance. No medical exam required. And we were covered by the time we hung up. With SelectQuote, even if you have a health concern, be it high blood pressure, diabetes, even heart disease, their experienced agents can find you the right life insurance policy at the lowest price. Make life insurance the first resolution you check off your list this year.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-860-4545 to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-860-4545. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-860-4545. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
You know, I think people forget there's a Central Barbecue location in South Haven.
And that's on us.
Well, you.
What does that mean?
Well, you're the spokesperson for Central Barbecue. It's your responsibility to remind people there's a Central Barbecue in South Haven.
It's very convenient that I'm the spokesperson when there's responsibility to be taken.
Just mention the Central Barbecue location in South Haven.
I got a lot to remember. There's the location on Butler downtown. There's a location on Summer, on Poplar.
And Getwell Road in South Haven. How hard is that?
I've heard you call yourself a spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
It was just to pick up chicks.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswangerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Good afternoon. Traffic's on the increase through the Midtown area on 240 southbound from South Parkway down to Norris. Right on schedule, actually, for a Friday afternoon as that traffic volume builds on 240 east from Mill Branch out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Few rain showers around certain areas this afternoon. And don't forget the 55 bridge will close tonight at 8 o'clock and remain closed until Monday morning at 6 a.m. That could cause a little bit more traffic volume over the weekend on the I-40 bridge. St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital finds cures for kids with cancer and other life-threatening diseases. For donation information, log on to stjude.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover once again.
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand. You said you love me, and that's a fact.
We're back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios as we start our third and final hour. And joining us now to talk some Tiger basketball, the Tiger basketball beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, Jason Munns. He's presented each and every week by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. Jason, you were in Philadelphia last night for Memphis's game against Temple. Everyone's been talking about the rebounds. Everybody's been talking about the lack of hustle, the lack of execution. What was the biggest thing that stood out to you in the Tigers' loss last night?
The rebounds. Yeah. The rebounds and the missed free throws. But like from a big picture standpoint, it was just really quite bizarre how, like, Memphis just kept hanging around. Like Temple kept letting Memphis hang around, and Memphis actually, I think if there was like one or two plays that go the other way, that where a different thing happens, I think Memphis probably wins that game last night.
Kobe Rogers' three goes down.
Yeah, like you take one, and like I say, it's you really don't need a whole bunch of things to have gone differently for that game to have been, for Memphis to have come out on top. It was just like, it was just you could pick a couple things here or there, and if they're different, it's a different game, which is again kind of hard to wrap your mind around considering that Memphis got out-rebounded by 24 rebounds. And not only that, but Memphis had 25 rebounds. Memphis finished the game with 25 total rebounds. Temple finished the game with 22 offensive rebounds. Memphis total rebounds only out-rebounded Temple's offensive rebounds by 3. It was just pure and total domination on the glass by Temple. And they made a couple more threes than Memphis did.
Is that fixable?
They say it is. Memphis says it's fixable. I think Penny's got a point when he said last night the way he kind of answered that question was like, we've done this before. There are games where we have rebounded really, really well. Just go back and look at the Ole Miss game. I'd have to pull it up, but I know they out-rebounded Ole Miss, I think maybe by 12 or something like that. So they have proven that they have what it takes. And not only that, they've proven that even when they get out-rebounded, they can still win. They got out-rebounded against Michigan State. They got out-rebounded by UConn, and they beat both those teams. Whether or not the rebounding is fixable, that we'll have to wait and see on that. But what we do know for a fact is Memphis can beat really, really, really good teams if they do something else. If they can account for it, if they can compensate for the rebounding issues that they have. But they didn't do that last night either. Like they missed. I think total they missed 10 free throws. And I think they only made 6 3-pointers. So like when you add all those things together, it makes it very, very difficult to overcome all those things.
And Jason, I'm still convinced if this is platform diving and we throw out the high and we throw out the low, I still think this is a team that can get on that 2, 3, 4 game run in the NCAA tournament and make life tough on a lot of people.
Without a doubt. You get the right matchups, you get the right you get the team in the right mindset. Mm-hmm. We said this last year a lot. A lot of us said this last year that if Memphis could just get into the tournament, that they could make some real noise. And I still believe that about last season. It was just getting there that was the issue. Now, I have not seen anything that has convinced me that this team isn't just going through a bit of a slump right now. And the other part of that, the other aspect of that point is that, listen, the American is not a strong league. It just isn't. However, Temple is not a bad team.
No. I think you're right. I know you're right.
They're not a good team, but they're not a bad team. This is not like Charlotte's a bad team. Charlotte is legitimately a bad team.
And Temple, that'd be different. I welcome that rematch at FedEx Forum. Bring it on.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about that earlier today. I think there's 4 teams per year that you only, or there's a certain number of teams that Memphis, that every team only plays once. But Memphis does not get another shot at North Texas. They don't need it. They won that game. They do get another shot at Temple in Memphis sometime down the line. I think it's going to go much differently here in Memphis. But yes, I think that there's nothing about what I have seen so far that tells me that this team will just be lucky to get to the NCAA tournament, or that if they get to the NCAA tournament, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to win. Like you're not convincing me of that yet. Now some things do need to change. They do need to re-engage and get back get things back going in the right direction. But
Tennessee's
I think
saying the same thing about that. Alabama was saying that after losing at Ole Miss. This is re-engagement. Marshal your forces. Get ready for what I call the 25th of February push. That's when you got to be the army you're going to war with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is the other thing is like if you're going to go through a slump, now's a decent time to do that. Yeah. I mean, it's not the best time. Like
this is like you're trying on clothes. Well, this fits pretty good. Well, I look good in this. Well, that's terrible. I can't. Way too small. I don't know who thought those pants would fit. That's what this time of year is.
Yeah, and Penny did some of that last night where it felt like he was experimenting. I mean, he may look at it like he was trying to do some different things because what he wanted to do wasn't working. But yeah, I mean, like he played a 4-guard lineup for extended minutes last night for the first time all season, and it's like it didn't necessarily work great in a game like that when it's kind of already proven that the other team, like it didn't take long to realize that Temple was going to have the advantage in the rebounding department. And then you throw out a 4-guard lineup against a team that already, has a rebounding, an advantage in the rebounding department. And that doesn't make life any easier from that standpoint. But yeah, no, like, we saw some stuff last night that we haven't seen yet. And it didn't necessarily work. That does not mean that it won't work later. But yeah, I mean, it last night did not. It was not a super damaging loss anywhere in the same conversation as the Arkansas State game at home. Like that was a bad loss. This was not a good loss, but I don't think it was a bad loss either.
Right. Going back to that 4-guard lineup that we saw a lot last night, the biggest thing for me that kind of caught me off guard was they go 4-guard, 1 big, and then they ran this zone where you had why am I blanking on who? Nicholas Jourdain out on the perimeter, and P.J. Haggerty is down low on the block. And, I mean, we're getting just tore up on the boards when they were running that. What did you think, in particular, to those 4-guard, 1 big lineups, and why Penny Hardaway tried to continue to stay in those?
I wish I had an answer. I do. I wish I had an answer. I mean, maybe he thought it was early enough that if it didn't work, that you could overcome it, that you could get back into your, you could get back to what you do best, and it would be enough. And you know what? Like, if that was what he was thinking, it wasn't. He wasn't necessarily wrong.
Sure. And I mean, Temple's they're not a giant team. Like most time out there, their biggest guys like 6'8". So I mean, I understand kind of the logic to it.
Yeah. No, it was curious how often there was 1 big on the floor, and that big was defending 30 feet from the basket, 25, 30 feet from the basket. Like, it felt like that seemed odd to me. But I don't know. And the other thing that I was thinking about today that I thought was a little bit strange was last night felt like the perfect time. A couple weeks ago, there was a lot of chatter about Penny Hardaway, the enforcer. This more, Penny Hardaway's coaching harder and really not holding back with this team. But I watched him, pretty closely last night, and there was none of that. There was absolutely none of that during last night's game, and so I don't know. It felt like it would have been a good time to drop the hammer on some people. But sometimes you just chalk it up to maybe not only the players. Maybe the players weren't the only ones kind of off a little bit.
By his own words, by Coach Hardaway's own words, Jason, to you after the Ole Miss game, he said, yes, this was big-time circle game, must win, and he agreed with Chris Beard's assessment that was the best his team had played all year. I know it's the zillion-dollar question. How can you bottle that and do it all the time? And if not all the time, certainly in road games and big home matchups.
I mean, that is the zillion-dollar question.
Sure is.
I mean, I think what you have to do is you have to make the team understand just how critical every game is. I mean, and it sounds very simple. That feels like that would be like, yeah, a very, very simple thing to do, because you simply say, hey guys, Jerry Palm had us as a 3 seed in his projection before we lost to Temple. Now he's got us as a 5 seed, and the only thing that changed was the loss to Temple. Joe Lunardi had us as a 5 seed. Now he's got us as a 6 seed. Like if you do this more than once, maybe twice, you're talking about missing out on the thing that you play for. And so, that feels like the first thing I would say to a team that doesn't seem to get it. Yeah,
the Tigers cannot lose at home the rest of the year. And if you're going to lose 1 or 2 more, I'll even go 3 more. Don't let it be to 278 today at Charlotte on Sunday. Don't let it be to 229 at Texas San Antonio.
I don't think you can lose more than 2 more, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, if you're already, like, let's say Lunardi's the one who's more accurate, and you're a 6 seed today. Well, you lose 1 more, you're probably an 8 seed, and you lose 1 more. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can, but certainly to your point before, losing at home is out of the question.
Can't happen
at this point.
Can't be to UAB. Sure can't be in a rematch to can't beat anyone. I mean,
no, it cannot.
Next home loss has to be in the 25-26 season.
Yeah, it's got to be next year. But at the same time, we're doing a lot of talking about what if and if this happens and that whatever. As we sit here right now, the bracketologists still think that Memphis is somewhere around a 5 or a 6 seed. They're still 13-4. They're still 3-1 in the league. They still have a lot of runway in front of them. That if they just do what they're supposed to do, everything will be fine. And so that does not need to get lost in all of this. Is that Memphis is not. They're a little bit worse for wear than they were yesterday, but they are still in good shape. Mm-hmm. Still in good shape.
Jason, you asked Penny Hardaway after the game whether or not he was worried, and his response, you tweeted this out, no worry yet. That kind of did rounds. A lot of people have been talking about that quote since you tweeted it out. You can take it any way you want to when you read it, but how did you take it when Penny Hardaway said it?
Well, first of all, I was filming with my left hand and typing with my right hand, and
Be
so
careful
like that
out there
was,
with that.
and he was still talking, and like it was a lot. Right. I normally have a tripod for my phone to set that on and record video, but I didn't have it on this trip. So that was like, but I knew in the moment that was a quote that needed to get out there, that people would want to know what what his answer was. But the thing that stood out to me about that quote was Penny is not being unrealistic. And I think that's important. He is being way more measured in his, responses and reactions to certain things. Like he stated explicitly last night in the elaboration to that question, he was like, nobody's panicking. I'm not going to go back and start thinking about last year. This is one game. We're going to learn from it. We're going to get better. We have to, blah, blah, blah. But he did say yet. He did say he said, "I'm not worrying yet," and that was, I thought, somewhat telling. That he's at least, worry is somewhere in the ballpark. And I think that's a good thing. I do think that's a good thing. Like, don't if he's sticking his head in the sand and saying, "Oh, we're good, we're completely fine," don't what are you talking about? Missing the NCAA tournament? No way. That would be cause for alarm, I would think. So yeah, that's the way I read it. I'm on the glass half full side of that debate. That he is at least being realistic and not completely turning a blind eye to the possibility that bad things could still happen.
Jason, in Coach Hardaway's world, as best as you could report, being around it and so close to it, is it one person? Who is that person? Whether it's staffer, administrator, friend, kind of kitchen cabinet, booster, that they can go to Penny and go in there and light those guys up. Don't let them off easy.
I would say that if there is anybody like that right now, it's like Ed Scott, the athletic director Ed Scott, or the deputy athletic director Tim Duncan, and it's probably closer to Tim Duncan because Tim is a former teammate of Penny's. He is the sport administrator. Excuse me, he's the sport administrator for men's basketball. He was right there when Penny got up from the press conference and went back out onto the floor to do radio. Like Tim was right there and put his arm around Penny as they walked back out to the floor, and they were having a very, very not like intense conversation, but Tim looked like he was being the supportive coach in a way for Penny. And so I think he and Ed Scott are kind of the two that I don't know that there's anybody on staff who Penny, I don't know that Mike Davis is his role is quite set up that way. I mean, he would be the one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Dwight is necessarily I don't know that his role is necessarily wired that way. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jermaine, maybe JJ Johnson, maybe him, but I think more so than anybody, Tim Duncan and probably to a lesser extent Ed Scott are those guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how the Tigers can bounce back. Couple days off, and then it'll be on the road against Charlotte, a Charlotte team that has not won a game in conference play yet. I believe on a 6-7 game losing streak going back before that. So this team that's really struggling. We'll see what the Tigers can do. Jason, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again on Friday.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. And be safe out there traveling, especially any time of year, but especially right now when it can be treacherous out there. Every week we have Jason Munns with us, and it's presented by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. Over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks, over 100 years of celebrations, family time, and lasting great memories. I've talked to so many people that had that moment during the holidays, whether it was an office get-together, friend group, lunch group, dinner group, family group, mixed group, that had that event during the holidays at Jim's Place. They've done it for so long. They do it for all the big occasions, and this weekend, they're going to do it. They do it all the time. The Terrace family, with their touch for our community. They know this community with recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown to now in Collierville at the railroad tracks at Poplar and Houston Levee. Online at jimsplacegrill.com. Don't forget the E in Grill. Know a lot of people that was a Christmas and holiday gift as well. Those gift cards, every state, grill perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's Place and taste and see and feel the difference. Lunch hours Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner hours Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Since 1921, a Memphis landmark, a staple. Hard work, values, and dedication to their diners. The Terrace family, they've created that memorable dining experience. At lunch, the menu, the staples like the souffle ma, the shrimp cocktail, crab cakes, and those salad dressings, all homemade. Nobody knows the recipe to them but them. At dinner, the calamari, the soups, the seafood, and the steak, strips, ribeyes, fillets, and the great bar area. I guarantee you it's bustling as we speak. Go enjoy it this weekend. Great bar area, Jim's Place Grill in Collierville, and they bring you Jason Munns every Friday from the Commercial Appeal.
Yeah, and like what Jason Munn said about Penny Hardaway's comments last night about the not worried yet. And, hey, I mean, I think that's how you got to look at it. And we said at the beginning of the show, we're not worried yet, and I don't think you should be. Losses are going to come, and, I think a road loss at Temple is certainly not the worst loss in the world.
And I'm glad the freak-out factor has been on the lesser side. Sunday afternoon in Charlotte, I won't be able to hold anybody back, but they're not losing Sunday afternoon in Charlotte.
No, I mean, the Charlotte team is really bad. I mean, I was talking about them earlier. Lost 3 guys from last year's team to Power 5 conference teams. So, I mean, they had to reload. And looking at them right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight losses, 7 of their last 8 losses. So really struggling coming in here.
Here's my 2 more on the road.
Okay.
At Wichita State, 154 net today. Mm-hmm. You could live with that. You could. I don't want to, but you could live with at Rice, 182, and you sure could live with losing at UAB.
Yeah.
Any of those 3, just take 2 of them, win at home, all good.
Yeah, and I
go to
think,
Dickies Arena, make it to Sunday. Sit back and wait for about a 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you, and it's going to be a lot of really, really interesting games. But I think those 3 are probably the biggest ones you would circle. That UAB game, both the UAB games, kind of scare me a little bit. But we'll get to those when we get to those later in the season, because UAB, they've got the big man, and they've been playing better. Certainly not a great start to the year, but playing a little better as the year's going on. Well, before we get to a break, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsors. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team, they're ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender. Available in multiple models to fit your needs, the Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169, or go online to jaguarbluffcity.com. But please, go out there, give them a visit, test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to another break, and when we come back, we got to make our picks during our first National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today to your loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Rose on Highway 64 in Marlin, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership,
5663.
New year, new savings during the Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat Start Something New sales event on the bike. We got it covered in 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L Series 3, $23,156 off MSRP and 0% for 36 or 3.9 for 72 months is available. 2023 Jeep Renegade Upland 4-wheel drive Sport, $309 a month. Buy it for $23,723 and power up in 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn, $13,758 off MSRP or $629 a month. Plus all 2023 models, you can save up to $16,906 off. So drive past the rest, come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. Online, GossettMotorCars.net. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
331 MSRP 123,155. Renegade Triple P 57,256 MSRP 31,095. Ram SN 544,525 MSRP 56,825. Includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. A little bit busy in the last few minutes trying to get out of the Midtown area. It has picked up actually on 240 southbound at South Parkway. It's trying to build over here like it normally does. 40 east from Sycamore View Road all the way out into Fayette County. Don't forget tonight at 8 o'clock they're shutting down the 55 bridge. That'll be closed all weekend long. St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital finds cures for kids with cancer and other life-threatening diseases. For donation information, check out stjude.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life. When I say been a friend, I mean it. And they build relationships, and you have seen it with any dealing with them. And more to come in 2025 in West Tennessee. First National Bank and Trust, as I said, proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Only 4 games this weekend to pick. Bryant, we'll pick the national championship game for college on Monday at 5:30. But we have 4 big ones, 2 tomorrow, 2 on Sunday. It starts tomorrow afternoon in the divisional round. I wonder, can the NFL get on us if we talk about having divisional round parties like they do, big game parties?
No, I think it's just that one,
just big game,
that one big one that they care about.
That is a big one, but it's 4 big ones this weekend with 2 tomorrow, and it starts tomorrow at 3:30 on ABC. Kansas City, remember them? Mm-hmm. It feels like they hadn't played since about Thanksgiving. Minus 8.5 over Houston. Kansas City had a bye as the 1 seed. Houston won the AFC South last weekend as the 4 seed at home. They defeated the LA Chargers 15-8 all-time. Kansas City at Arrowhead in the playoffs. Most of that in this run, in this Andy Reid dynastic run. Kansas City leads Houston 10-5 all-time, 2-0 against them in the playoffs. Last playoff matchup, 51-31 Kansas City on January 12th, 2020. The other one, 30-0 in 2016. Everybody likes Kansas City. Connor likes Kansas City. I like Kansas City. Brian, who do you like?
I like Kansas City as well. I've kind of gone back and forth on this one a lot, but you look at Kansas City, and they're going to be well rested. They didn't play any of their starters the final week of the regular season. They had the bye last week. Patrick Mahomes missed a couple games with an injury and is now back. And you look at it, I think a lot of people have talked about the lack of covering this year and what they what was it? They haven't won, only won one game by more than 7 or whatever the number is. But you look at what they did towards the end of the season. 29-10 win on the road at Pittsburgh, a 27-19 win against the Texans, and a 21-7 win on the road against Cleveland. You heard it, the Texans in there, 27-19 win over them. So they controlled that game. I think they do the same. They're even more well-rested than they were in that game, and I think they want to tell them, Brett, you just said it. Everyone forgot about them. Nobody's talking about the team that is going for 3 straight. I think they go out there and want to make a statement in the divisional round. I think they get a big win over Houston.
My score is 24-7 Kansas City. That's kind of their plodding, efficient, workmanlike style. If they get it done, just sitting out there in Middle America. So you think we got a group lock here, don't you?
No chance.
You picked Kansas City. Connor's picked Kansas City.
No chance.
I picked Kansas City. No. Darian takes Houston.
I knew it.
No group lock.
I knew it.
And he's been lights out all year.
Yes.
We had one group lock last weekend. We all had Denver. Started well, and that took us to 10-7 on the year on NFL group locks. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, 7 o'clock on Fox in Detroit. My Detroit Lions. Detroit, football town. Detroit minus 9.5 over Washington. Detroit all time. The Detroit Lions all time at home in the playoffs. 7-1.
How about that? Wow.
But only 2 of those wins have been at Ford Field.
Wow.
A lot of them go way back to Tiger Stadium when they played outdoors there. 2-0 at Ford Field. Never played Washington at home in the postseason. The Lions are 0-3 all time against Washington in the playoffs. They played them on the road 1983, 1992, and in 2000. 83 and in 92. That was Washington on their way to winning Super Bowls. Those games were played at RFK Stadium. Washington leads all time against Detroit 31-16. They last played in the 2022 season with the Lions winning. The Lions have won 6 of the last 7 meetings against Washington. But Washington didn't have Jaden Daniels in those games. But I still take Detroit. I take Detroit big. 45-10 Lions.
Whoa.
And that's right around the total. Total's 55 and change, maybe 55.5. I'm 45-10.
Yeah, wow, that would be a massive win. I'm kind of doing the old reverse trickeration on both these games.
Wow.
I took Kansas City.
Is that allowed this late on a Friday afternoon?
I don't know, but the more I look at it, Kansas City, they have not been great at covering spreads this year. I went with them. Detroit has been unreal covering spreads, 11-5 against the spread this year. But I'm going to go with Washington in this game. You look at what they've done, Washington, that is, they found weird ways when everyone kind of thinks they're down and out to go out there and find ways to win. And sometimes it's not the cleanest, it's not the prettiest, but they find ways to get it done. Jaden Daniels does not look anything like a rookie in these big moments. And so I think he'll come out and he'll be ready to go in this game tomorrow. 9.5 points is a ton. It's scary to say I'm going to back the Commanders because I said, 2 hours ago that Detroit, it feels like they can just name a score against any team and cover. But I'm going to take the Commanders here to play this close and give us a good game tomorrow night.
Connor takes Washington as well. Darian, he takes Detroit. I think if Washington covers, they win. But I don't think they got a chance.
I don't either, but we're just trying.
And they've had a great year.
Oh, they've had a fantastic year.
If it ends tomorrow night,
Brett, they could get beat 100-0 tomorrow night, and
Sure
it would still
could.
be what a great season. I can't wait to see what they do next year.
Reverse of that, though. Detroit lose tomorrow night. It was for nothing.
Disaster, yeah.
It was not as good as last year. Sunday afternoon, 2 o'clock on NBC. Philadelphia minus 6.5 against the Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles lead all-time 24-20 with a tie. We know it's not going to be a tie. Rams lead 2-1 in the postseason. First postseason matchup for these teams. December 18th, 1949, the Eagles won it 14-0. Norm Van Brocklin, the quarterback for the for the Rams, and the Eagle star was Razorback legend Clyde Smackover Scott.
Smackover.
Yeah, and a great guy. I knew Smackover Scott. I knew his daughter Marcia Scott.
That's great.
Great guy. Jalen Hurts. He's been to a Super Bowl. Matt Stafford's won a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Connor takes the Rams. Darian takes the Rams. I take the Rams 22-21 over Philly in Philly. Bryant, group lock?
Wow, so you have the straight-up upset
I
for
do.
the Rams. Wow, holy cow. Now, I'm going to go with Philadelphia in this one. They've surprised me all year long. I just think this is going to be the game where maybe that that balloon pops for L.A. and Philly. It feels like we know their game plan. It's going to be ground and pound, give it to that electric back and let him roll and then throw it around a little bit. I just think Philadelphia is a much better team in this spot, and I'll take them here.
Sunday night, 5:30 on CBS. Baltimore -1.5 at Buffalo. That line all week, Vegas couldn't figure out who to make a favorite. Started as Pick'em, then it was Buffalo, a point and a half, shade favorite, then back to Pick'em, then to Baltimore. It could change by kickoff on Sunday, but we're going off right now. Baltimore laying the 1.5 at Buffalo. We know the quarterback matchup. This is what makes the NFL great.
It's for keeps,
every
Brett.
era gets it, doesn't it? It really is the jukebox of great quarterbacks carrying the shield.
It sure is, and we're gonna get them in this matchup. And I mean, it's who do you want to win the MVP? Who is a legacy game maybe for both these guys?
And I feel for the defeated.
It's going to.
It's going to be rough and tumble on get up starting early Monday morning for the losing quarterback.
Because one of these guys is still going to be alive. The other, it's going to be he can't get it done in the playoffs. And it's
will
just
be
ran
so
into the other.
over the top, Brian. It will be ridiculous. Yeah. Now, I don't make the rules. I just play by them. They're both going to the Hall of Fame. They both have MVPs. But the loser's going to be castigated like he's never won anything.
Yeah, no, Brett, I guarantee it's 5:41 on a Friday. Everyone already has the Monday headline hot take written up. It just does not have the name in there. You can just place whatever name you want in there of the losing team.
Who gets absolutely crushed in defeat? Allen or Jackson?
I think that's tough. I don't know. Maybe Josh
Allen. I think
Allen
because
I was about to say Josh Allen.
He's had too many close calls.
Yeah, I think it would be Josh Allen.
He's got more scar tissue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now give it 2 or 3 more for Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
He might be there. Buffalo 15-5 all time in the playoffs at what used to be Rich Stadium. Only one more year of playoffs potentially there. After next year, they'll be in the new building and no dome. What are they thinking? Any place on earth that needed a dome, it was Buffalo.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
And they did play after the COVID year, only had 6,700 in attendance. We know why. But it's a big one, Lamar versus Josh Allen. Connor takes Buffalo. Connor takes Baltimore. Darian takes Baltimore. Bryant.
I'm going to take the Bills in this one. I flipped a coin, landed on tails. Tails was the Bills. Here we go.
I'm with you. I'm Buffalo 31-17.
Wow. Oh, wow. 31-17 all time.
And
wow.
no over the I don't care what kind of game he has. I'm not criticizing Lamar Jackson. We watch Peyton Manning have those scuffles and then break through. In golf, we watch Phil Mickelson. It almost crushed him. Then it broke through and he won. Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, whenever they break through, they're not going to stop at just winning one. They're going to win a couple.
Mm-hmm. No, that should be the fun one. I'll be honest, Brett. If your score prediction is right, I'll be a little disappointed. I want the Bills to win.
You want a classic?
I want a classic. When you got those two quarterbacks, I want one that we're in here talking about Monday through Wednesday next week.
That score prediction came from someone last week that went 0-6.
It's true. Well, big weekend for you, Brad. I mean, it's a bounce back weekend. You're due.
Yeah,
You're due. 4-0 weekend on the way.
I do. That's our picks for this week. Again, we'll pick the college national championship game on Monday at 5:30. That's our Friday football forecast brought to you every week by First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, whether it's commercial, ag, hunting, recreational, contact them at fnbt.com or call them at 498-5763. The offices in West Tennessee, and I can guarantee you stable, secure, solid, reliable, and consistent all these years.
Picks for the national championship Monday afternoon, but also Big Four wins.
Biggest 4 wins in
How
Notre
about
Dame
that?
football history and in Ohio State football history.
Yeah, I might have a placeholder somewhere in there for that win tonight. How about that? We'll go to number 2 or number 1. Or
Could have had the semis for Notre Dame.
Certainly could have. That was a huge win for Notre Dame. You're right.
Gutsy win.
Yeah, very, very gutsy. So that's gonna be fun.
How did Notre Dame get to be the plucky national underdog pull-far team?
Yeah, well, that's a great point.
Is it the payroll at Ohio State?
I think so. I think that's part of it. I think part of it is Marcus Freeman's hard to dislike. I mean, it's hard not to root for him. And because I've heard when you brought that up earlier, it was a great point by you, and I've heard a couple other people say it. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and one of the people on the podcast goes, "I hate rooting for Notre Dame, but here I am, and I'm rooting for him in this national championship game."
And I want to stick it to Brian Kelly.
Yeah,
too.
I think there's a couple different factors. Money's certainly, I think, one of the biggest when you go out there and buy, the best team money can buy in college football. You definitely want
Riley
the team to go
Leonard's
down.
not playing there for free.
No, certainly not. Certainly not.
So Notre Dame spent some cash too.
Oh yeah, no, and for Riley Leonard after what he did at Duke and putting himself on the map, it was probably not very cheap either. But we'll get to all of that Monday afternoon about 5:30. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The system at Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar is perfect. First, you order at the counter from the huge menu, chock full of deliciousness. Wait, before you do that, just make sure your entire party is there. Then, get in line. Then, order at the counter from the huge menu of deliciousness. Then, grab a number and head to any table you'd like. I mean, as long as there aren't people already sitting there. Then, before you know it, the best breakfast or lunch you can't find anywhere but Sunrise will arrive, piping hot and fresh. Remember, you can only stay an hour at Sunrise because people refuse to leave.
Financial World's biggest players just dropped a bombshell. Citigroup's latest prediction, gold rocketing past $3,000 by 2025. Think about that number, $3,000. While Wall Street scrambles, here's what they won't tell you. This isn't just a prediction, it's a wake-up call. Every day you wait could cost you. Every moment of hesitation, a lost opportunity. Every maybe tomorrow, another step behind. Smart investors are already moving. They see what's coming. A golden tide that could lift some boats and leave others high and dry. Where will you be when gold hits $3,000? Celebrating your foresight or wishing you'd listened? Noble Gold Investments is your bridge to that future. Your partner in preparation. Your guide to what's coming. Be positioned. Be confident. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com now and get 10 1-ounce silver American Eagle coins with a qualified account. Just use promo code SILVER because $3,000 gold won't wait for permission. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risk. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making any investment decision.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, EV6, 36-month lease, RU 621,425, 36-month lease, MSRP 55,820, K4 SEO 64,461, MSRP 24,715, Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060, includes all rebates and incentives must finance through KFA. Excludes tax out of license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 1/31/24.
I got Jeff Allen on the line. He's doing numbers I've never heard of before at Gossen Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Randy, when's the last time you heard of a new ride at $163 a month with electric EPA range of S310? I got it in a 2024 Kia EV6, $63.96 due at signing, 36-month lease, or a 2025 K4 GT Line 206 a month, $34.99 due at signing, 24-month lease. 2025 Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 per month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
And every Gossett Kia comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the babies crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye!
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that Zay Flowers, the Ravens wide receiver that leads the team in receiving yards, has been listed as doubtful for the Ravens divisional round showdown against the Bills. He's been really, really good for the Ravens this year. He's not a guy that, you immediately think of when you think of Ravens, because you think of Lamar Jackson, you think of Derrick Henry, you think of that team and what they do with their legs and not really through the air, but he has been huge, and that would be a big loss if he is not able to go, and it's starting to trend in that direction. So definitely something to keep an eye on in what looks to be the biggest game of the weekend.
It is the biggest game of the weekend in that quarterback matchup that we love. What I learned, a quarterback that was matched up in a lot of those games, Tom Brady, he should be immediately removed as any part of the Las Vegas Raiders ownership. This weekend, he's got full entree into recruiting Ben Johnson with the Detroit Lions to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Johnson can name his NFL job he wants next year. That is an unfair advantage. The league cannot have this.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping on this. You need to be an announcer or you need to be an owner.
Yeah.
You cannot do both. And this weekend, he can say all he wants. He's not doing it. You know he's doing it. And if he's not, Mark Davis should be mad at him.
Yes, no, you're right about that, and I'm with you. Pick one or the other. What I could have done without, it's official, Japanese star pitcher Roki Sasaki has signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Stunner.
The rich keep getting richer. Now, this is a weird case because Roki Sasaki is the type of player that if he had come over from Japan, if he had waited a couple more years and then joined the MLB, he would have gone for a massive asking price. But because he decided he wanted to come over here earlier, he could only be signed for the minimum. And so that meant every team in Major League Baseball was in play, but he decides to join the LA Dodgers. Now, he has history, obviously, with Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They played together for Team Japan at the World Baseball Classic. So he joins that, and this, according to Jeff Passan, is what the Los Angeles Dodgers rotation could look like in 2025. Shohei Ohtani, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, and Roki Sasaki. That is 5 1s or 2s at every Major League Baseball team.
It's a 115-win team.
Dodgers have 5 of them, yes.
That's 115 wins.
Yeah, that's
probably
incredible.
a repeat.
Probably a repeat, yes.
I could have done without that.
Yes.
I also could have done without the Grizzlies all-time 40-75 against San Antonio. They have tonight and 2 more after tonight against them. So let's say they win all 3 of those. It'd be 4-0 this year. They would put them 32 under 500 against San Antonio. I'm not counting in running into them in the playoffs. That means playing 4 times a year, the Grizzlies will have to sweep 4-0 8 straight years to get to 500.
Wow.
At the same time, San Antonio has Wembanyama.
yeah.
We may never see them have a series. Brian, you may not live long enough.
No, why not? We get to see Wemby tonight. No,
and buried in a lot of those head-to-head with the Vancouver years.
Oh,
but it still counts.
Yeah. It's all in there together. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me this weekend, tomorrow afternoon, to Humphrey Coliseum in Starkville for Ole Miss at Mississippi State. The 12th most played college basketball matchup, the 271st meeting. State leads 150 to 120 all time, and it's the first time both are ranked. Number 15 State versus number 21 Ole Miss, and they're even better than that in the net.
Yeah, that's going to be a really, really good one. A great day of college basketball tomorrow, but beam me tonight to Grizzlies and Spurs, 8:30 on ESPN, a nationally televised game. But if you don't want national television, you can go over to FanDuel Sports Network and see our guys, the local team, doing that game, which is always a lot of fun when you have those nationally televised games where they can still do the local broadcast. It should be a lot of fun, but also beam me to this first game tonight on ESPN, Magic and Celtics. Magic, a 15-point underdog tonight.
Right now, isn't it?
Yeah, about to start right now at 6 o'clock, yeah.
Everybody at the Egg Bowl on the hardwood tomorrow, play nice. We're on a roll playing nice with each other.
Yeah, things have been going well. Yes.
Let's keep it going. We can do this. Grizzlies tonight at San Antonio at 8:30 on ESPN. Tigers Sunday in Charlotte. NFL playoffs, the SEC games, and the job that Mark Byington is doing at Vandy. They play Tennessee tomorrow.
He's done a fantastic job throughout year one. A great weekend of sports with the NBA, with the college basketball tomorrow, the NFL starting tomorrow and going into Sunday. A really, really good weekend of action. Enjoy it all. That's all the time we have. We'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from the Mediterranean diet to steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used